Good evening and welcome. This is a regular meeting of the Princeton Planning Board on Thursday, October 9, 2025. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given by prominently posting the resolution of regularly scheduled meetings of the Planning Board for February 2025 through January 2026. A copy was filed with the Clerk of Princeton on January 8, 2025. Legal notice on the adoption of said resolution was published in the January 17, 2025 edition of the Princeton Packet. Notice of this meeting also has been posted to the municipal website, princetonnj.gov/calendar. Notice that all regular and special meetings of the Princeton Planning Board will be held electronically via Zoom, was transmitted to the Princeton Packet and the Times, and was filed with the Clerk of Princeton on Tuesday, January 17, 2023. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. During hearings on applications for development, members of the public will have an opportunity to comment and ask questions. Public comment is heard by the board after an applicant's representatives have finished their presentations and have been questioned by planning board members and staff. Those wishing to comment orally should virtually raise your hand by clicking on the reactions or raise hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or if participating by phone, by pressing *9. Oral comments will be taken in the order in which hands were raised. We ask with respect that members of the public express your views in 3 minutes or less. A countdown clock on your screen will help speakers keep track of time. Please note that speakers who exceed 3 minutes will be interrupted. Inappropriate public comment containing obscenity, hate speech, or relating to matters not before the board will be muted. Mr. Lesko, are you calling the roll or is someone else?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Bodenheimer? Ms. Capozzoli?
Here.
Mr. Cohen?
Here.
Mayor Frida? Mr. McGowan?
Here.
Ms. Nuka? Mr. O'Donnell?
Here.
Ms. Perlmutter? Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Wilson-Anderson?
Here.
And Chair Wilson.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Announcements. Any members of the board or staff have announcements? Anything from you, Justin?
Oh, surprisingly, I don't think so. For the first time in a while.
Yeah, okay. Next on the agenda is the proclamation honoring Carrie Phillip. Since Carrie was unable to be here tonight, we're going to table and defer the proclamation to hopefully next week when she can join us. Or whenever is the next meeting she can join us, which I think is next week, but TBD. Subcommittee reports. We have a report from the Landscape Subcommittee.
Right. So on October 1st, the Landscape Subcommittee met to discuss 469 Ewing Street and 900 Herrontown Road. So both applications are being resolved. I don't know. I guess, yeah. So I mean, I think for 900, the conclusion was replant that we check in on the planting, and for 469, I think we were satisfied with the applicants like addressing the issues. So I don't know. You want to add anything?
Well, I remember the issue with 900 Herrontown. The trees there had been poorly planted, and some were dead and had needed to be replanted and had been. So we're going to keep a close eye on those and revisit things next spring. And the other one on Ewing, the former Ayudeli property we did ask for and received a couple of substitutions of non-native species, but allowed a couple of non-native species to remain on the site. The landscape architect gave compelling reasons to use those. So that's the only additional things that I recall from that meeting. Anything else, Justin or David?
Just that I think we will be, the referral to landscape for 900 Harrington was to actually go on site and evaluate the buffer. And we deferred that to when the replanting has happened. So
Yeah.
To be specific,
Mhm.
we'll have another bite at the apple.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, we have 4 sets of minutes from regular meetings. And we're going to have 4 or maybe 5 sets of minutes at each of the meetings going forward, or maybe just about each until we're all caught up. But first set we have is from June 6, 2024. It was a regular meeting. Any comments or questions? And if not, would someone like to move them?
Madam Chair, can I actually jump in real quick? This
Sure.
is an unusual set of minutes. It was that one meeting where we had a Zoom issue. So it's really not even a set of minutes because technically we didn't have a meeting. But I think for completion's sake, we wanted to get something written. So no roll was taken. I don't know, Jerry, how we handle the motion in the second, and even the vote, because we don't even. I guess we can look back at the video and figure out who was there for the Zoom issues. But what are your thoughts, Jerry?
Well, if there's anybody in the board who could volunteer that they were there and vote, yeah, Julie,
I was there, definitely.
and move to approve the minutes.
I moved to approve, yeah.
And Alvin, I saw you raise your hand. You're sure you were there too, and you're seconding?
Sure.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I know I was there. Any abstentions? I guess those who know for sure they weren't there. Okay. Or any no's, I'm sorry, because the abstentions can be figured out based on who we know was there from the video. Okay. Although you said you didn't do, I'm going to stop talking now. They're adopted. The next set of minutes is from September 5th, 2024. Any questions, edits, comments? And if not, would someone like to move them?
I'll move to approve them.
Thank you. Moved by Ms. Capizoli, seconded by Mr. Taylor. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Next set is from September 19, 2024. Mr. Foote. You're on mute.
There we go. Okay. So just a correction on this one that was pointed out to us by Mr. Cohen. On page 2 under B, Estate Shore, the Kyler Road was misspelled K-Y-L-E-R. That will be corrected to the correct spelling C-U-Y-L-E-R.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
thanks, sharp eyes, David. So with that, did we have a motion and second on this? I don't think we did yet.
I'll
Would
move.
someone like to move those? Thanks, Mr. McGowan, seconded by Mr. Cohen. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And then we have the minutes from January 9, 2025. Any questions, edits?
I'll move.
You, Mr. O'Donnell, and is there a second?
I'm actually seeing Mr. O'Donnell is absent for that
Oh, I
one.
was absent that day. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was
Um,
absent too.
Is it okay if I make a motion? Yes, I believe that it is.
I was there.
Yes. And thank you, Mr. Taylor, seconding. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Next up, we have an application from the trustees of Princeton University. This is the preliminary and final major site plan with variances for the Quantum Institute at Fitz-Randolph Road and Ivy Lane / Western Way. This is block 50.01, lot 18.01, and it's file number P2525-605P. Jerry, can you speak to notice and jurisdiction?
Notice is proper and the board has jurisdiction.
Excellent, thank you. Before turning to you, Chris DeGrazia, I'll ask Justin to set the table, and if there are any pressing comments from other staff, we'll hear that after we hear from Mr. Lesko.
Let me swear in all our staff at this point.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Justin, who else is? Anybody else?
Jim Purcell, Derek Bridger,
Okay,
Victor,
Mr. Onosike is here, and
I think that's,
Scoopian, I believe, is here as well.
who else?
Joe
Joe
Scoopy.
Scoopian, too.
Okay, what about Dan Dobermowski?
I don't think Dan is here. That,
The staff that is here, if you could raise your right hand, you swear or affirm that testimony you're about to give will be the truth. If you could just go around and state your full name, starting with Justin.
Justin Lesko, LESKO.
James Purcell. I do, and I'm the acting land use engineer.
Joe Scoopian, stormwater consultant.
Skupien.
Yes.
For the minutes.
Derek Bridger, zoning officer.
I'm Victor Onosike, traffic engineer, ANOSIKE.
Nathan Foote, FOOTE, Assistant Director, Planning Department.
Is that everybody?
So Nathan, you're an attorney, right? Nathan?
Nathan's our assistant director of planning.
Okay, good, thank you.
And Madam Chair, Nathan, we wrote a joint report. Nathan did most of the heavy lifting, so he's going to present it. As you probably know by now, he's a licensed professional planner in New Jersey, and has been for some time. AICP in good standing, all of that stuff. One thing I just wanted to point out before turning it over to him, we met with the university back over the summer, and they had some changes that they wanted to make to their initial application that they submitted. And then, sorry, I can't shut the door because we're getting our carpets replaced, so my office is full of furniture. But as I was saying, we met with the university to discuss the handful of minor changes they wanted to make. They resubmitted their application September 5th, I believe. So that's the application you're seeing tonight. And all of the reports are reflecting of those changes. And again, it's minor walkway changes, window placement, things like that. But that being said, I think one of the reports is dated from before then, the Environmental Commission report. So just be aware of that. But all of the reports and all you're going to hear tonight are based on that September 5th document or set of documents. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Nathan.
Great. Welcome, Nathan.
Okay, thank you, Justin. First of all, is my voice coming through clearly now? No, there was a.
It's okay. It's a little muddy, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I'll have to get a better microphone for next time. Usually this one has been pretty good, but for some reason it's losing its steam, I guess.
Mhm.
So I'll just try to speak up throughout this presentation, and then if I have to drop in any additional comments later in the session. Yeah, so as Justin noted, my name is Nathan Foote. I'm the new assistant director for the planning department, and let's get situated here. What What's going to follow is largely found in the memo written by myself and Justin, dated October 3rd, 2025. Justin will provide additional background and comments as needed as we go through the presentation and as we go through the rest of the evening. So to give a brief outline of what I'll be discussing, first I'm going to provide an orientation to the subject property and the surrounding neighborhood. Then I'll discuss previous applications heard by the board related to the property and the overall project that is before the board tonight. And then I'll wrap up by providing some of the details on the current proposal. The university does have an extensive presentation this evening, so I won't go into a lot of detail about the project, and I'll defer the detailed commentary and questions until during or after the university's presentation. And the next point I was going to bring up, Justin has already touched on, so I don't have to do that. So at this point, I'm going to share my screen. All right, is that shared now?
Yes.
Okay. Around again. Okay. So this is an overhead image of the subject property and the surrounding area from the New Jersey Parcel Explorer website created by Rowan University. And Jerry, I guess we'll mark this as exhibit PB1.
Yep, that'd be fine.
Okay, thank you. So the subject property is identified as block 50.01, lot 18. It's highlighted in the blue highlight. It is located in the E1 educational zone of the former township. And zoning-wise, just north of this is the E2 education zone of the former borough. And then to the northeast is the R2 zone of the former borough. And then surrounding it is additional educational zone, the E1 and the E2 of the former township on the east, west, and south. So as can be seen in the from the overhead image, the property currently includes the baseball field, identified as Clark Field, the new soccer stadium, identified as Roberts Stadium, and then that's in the southeast corner. And then in the southwest corner, you have two turf fields, Finney Field and Campbell Field is what those are identified as. And then this overhead image does still show the old softball field, and then just north of that is an additional field. Strubing Field was the softball field, and then Upper Strubing Field. Both of those have been removed since this overhead imagery was taken. So that's been within the last year that those fields have been removed. And I'll get to why that's the case in a couple of minutes. Then surrounding the property to the east, we have Fitz-Randolph Road. To the north, we have Western Way, what was formerly known as Ivy Lane. And then to the west and south, we have Garage Drive, Stadium Drive. When I zoom in on this map, you'll see it identified as Garage Drive, but in the application materials, it's been identified as Stadium Drive. So that's what I'll be referring to it as from here on out. The surrounding uses to the north and east, we have residential uses. Just west, we have a university building that looks to be academic office type building. To the south of that, we have the University Now Day Nursery, the child care building. South of that, we have the Tiger utility facility. And then to the south of the subject property, we have Stadium Drive Garage, several athletic fields and buildings, including Jadwin Gymnasium, which I'm just pointing out because it is involved in the trash and recycling plans that we have in the application materials. That's the only reason that I'm bringing that up specifically. And then to the west of the property, there is Princeton Stadium, which is a football stadium, and Weaver Stadium, which is for track and field events. And then further out from that, we have additional university uses, we have additional residential uses, we have Stony Brook and Carnegie Lake, and other university uses to the west as well. So now turning to the previous applications, and at this point I'll just zoom in a little bit to the site. The board has previously heard two applications related to the northern half of the subject property, the area occupied in this image by the baseball field to the west and the softball field to the east. On February 14th, 2024, the university presented a concept plan to the board for a multi-phase project. During that hearing, the university's professionals indicated that phase one of that multi-phase project involved the demolition of the sports field and the installation of a geo-exchange field. Phase two is construction of the Quantum Institute building, and that's the development application that is currently before the board that you're going to be hearing tonight. Phases 3 and 4 will be the computer engineering building and the aerospace engineering building. And the university may talk about the phasing and the timeline for those tonight, or not. But just for the board's awareness, that's sort of that's the phasing plan that the university has presented previously. So as noted, phase one of that project, of the multi-phase project, involved demolition of the existing softball and baseball fields in this northern portion of the property, excavation of the site, and installation of underground geo-exchange wells and the associated geo-exchange piping. That was submitted to the board as an application. The site plan committee reviewed the application, classified it as a minor site plan, and recommended it for approval, which the board did. And final approval by municipal staff was granted November 14th, 2024. The baseball field is currently still standing. Demolition of the softball field, softball stadium, it appears has been completed, and the university appears to be moving ahead with excavation and installation of the geo-exchange wells and piping. And it's this location, this northeastern quadrant of the subject property, that is the primary area where development is going to occur with this is proposed to occur with this application. And with that, I'll go ahead and start in on the current proposal, just an overview of what that current proposal looks like. So as noted, phase two of this overall plan for this site is the construction of the Quantum Institute. That's the application for preliminary and final major site plan approval with several variances that the board is hearing tonight. And as I just noted, the majority of the site subject to this application is in the northeast corner of the property at the intersection of Fitz-Randolph Road and Western Way. And at this time, I do want to bring up a second exhibit. I guess this will be marked as PD2. This is part of the applicant's materials, but I just figured that instead of trying to point to it on the overhead map, let me just bring this up.
Nathan, this doesn't have to be marked as a separate exhibit because it's part of the
okay. All right, perfect. All right, thank you, Jerry. So this is the northeastern quadrant that is being developed with the Quantum Institute building and surrounding site work. And then to the south is this access drive that snakes down, follows the path between the current baseball field and those turf fields to the south over to Stadium Drive, and then kind of hooks to the south and just to the northeast of the track and field stadium. The university is proposing a generator yard. There's an existing generator there. They're going to be adding several pieces of equipment there, enclosing that with the existing generator and calling that making that into a single generator yard. So the applicant, the university proposes to construct a 225,000 gross square foot 5-story building. According to the university, the building will provide, quote, high performance research laboratories ranging from dry labs, electronics, to wet labs for chemistry, a 15,000 square foot clean room, teaching spaces, office and collaboration space, and a 200-person auditorium. The application materials indicate an expected construction completion date of 2029 with a full occupancy target date of 2042. The application materials also note that at full capacity, the building population will be 656 people. I've noted before that there are variances required. Specifically, there are 3 that have been identified and requested by the university. I'll get to those in a moment. The primary facade material proposed is face brick of various textures and colors. corrugated aluminum panels, curtain walls, tapered awnings, mechanical louvers, anodized aluminum cladding, and vegetation trellis are also proposed as accents or secondary materials. I'll also note, because it did come up with the concept review, that the design for this building includes a stepped design, so that rather than being a single mass, there is a step in the each level. So there is a bit more interest in the design than just a single blank wall, let's say. And the university will go into that in more detail during their presentation. The building will have two canopy mounted signs on the western facade of the building. One will be located over the main entry of the Quantum Institute building, close to the northwest corner of the structure. And then the second sign is proposed at a second entry to the south of the main entry, so over down in this section of the building. All three of the wayfinding signs are also proposed. All three required variances are related to the sign. One is for the number of signs on the western facade. The second variance is for the size of the main entry canopy mounted sign, and the third is for the size of the wayfinding sign. The university proposes extensive site work as well. Pedestrian walkways are proposed to the east, the east, the west, the north, and to the south. There is that access drive that is there is a shared component where there is a pedestrian pathway to the south as well. There's also a restricted drive to the north with two ingress and egress points from Western Way. There's a courtyard to the east, and there's also a pad for artwork. There's a pad for artwork to the northwest of the building. The university is also proposing tables, chairs, benches, and trash cans along pedestrian paths and in the courtyard. A total of 88 bike racks are proposed, mostly to the west and to the southwest of the building. So really along this main north-south pedestrian corridor to the west of the building. Fire truck access to the building is provided via the restricted drives to the north and south. The university proposes extensive landscaping for the project. A total of 22 trees are being protected, 15 along Western Way and Fitz-Randolph Road, and 7 near the northeast corner of Weaver Stadium, where that generator yard is going to be located. The plans indicate at least 46 trees to be removed, and according to the plan, 45 replacement trees are required, with a total of at least 146 trees being planted. The plans indicate 21 of those replacement trees, or those trees being planted, will be smaller than 2.5 inches caliper, and 125 will be 2.5 inches caliper or greater. Proposed landscaping provides large amounts of new plantings between the Quantum Institute building and Fitz-Randolph Road. So in this section here, there's a lot of new plantings proposed, and a significant amount, but less than along that frontage to the north between Western Way and the building. Landscaping is also provided along the pedestrian path. The plans indicate 370 shrubs and 84 vines of various species, along with copious ground cover, both at ground level, on the green roofs, and also in sunken gardens that I believe the university is going to discuss during their presentation. Ground cover plantings include rain garden mixes to the south and east of the building, and there are 6 fire retention basins around the building, mostly to the east and south of the structure. And with that, I'll stop sharing, and that ends the summary of the application.
Okay, thank you. Before we hear from the applicant, Jim Purcell, is there anything you wanted to specifically flag, or Joe Scupion or Victor NOCK? I'm I'm not asking to take longer. I just want to make sure there's not, nothing that you feel urgently the board should hear from you before we hear from the applicant. Anything? Okay. Mr. DeGrazia, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Swear in your team.
Yes, I guess we could start with that, or maybe for the record, I'll just state my name, Christopher DeGrazia from the law firm of Fagery, Drinker, Biddle, and Reith. Thank you, Nathan, for that summary. You pretty much covered most of this stuff that I wanted to to introduce, but thank you for that introduction. As Nathan mentioned, we have taken a few steps to get here this evening. In early 24, Princeton University shared with the planning board and the community a concept plan for this project site. After that, we got approval for GeoExchange Wells, and essentially this allowed us to use this project site for two purposes: a university educational purpose, and also for allowing us to move forward on the university's carbon neutrality goal. We also constructed a temporary sound barrier on the edge to protect the neighborhood during the drilling. And prior to all these actions, there were also some additional steps. We had lined up through some site plan applications some necessary infrastructure to put it in place. For example, the Stadium Drive parking garage, it was East Campus Garage at that time. That was developed with extra capacity for additional growth. So we had an additional 351 spaces added to the garage when it was developed. And at that time, and through some of the applications that followed, we put in some circulation improvements, such as Stadium Drive and what we now call Chrysalis Drive, going up to Prospect. Those have been put in place to anticipate growth. So there's been a lot of planning that has gotten us to this moment this evening, which of course is the preliminary and final major site plan application for Quantum Institute. As mentioned, Quantum Institute is a 225,000 square foot building with state-of-the-art teaching and research facilities. The site plan that you're about to see this evening is fully conforming. So we meet all the books requirements, use standards, and ordinance requirements. We do have some sign variances, and they were outlined, and we'll get into the details in a little bit. We've put together a very detailed presentation, about 91 slides, and we have a number of experts. So unless there's any specific questions, Madam Chair, we could have our witnesses sworn in.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you. Yep. Go ahead, Mr. Mueller.
You all raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that testimony about to give be the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
I do. So sworn or affirm. Could you go around, state your full name, spell your last name? Ron, do you want to start off?
I'll start. Ron McCoy, University Architect, MCCOY. Stone, can you do?
Sure. My name is Tom Bishop, BESSHO.
Sam.
Sam Ruzicki, ROZYCKI.
Sandra.
Sandra Brock, BROCK.
Robin.
Robin Izzo, IZZO.
Christiane.
Christiane Pichard, PESCHARD. Sorry about that.
Kevin.
Kevin Cregan, CREEGAN.
Did I miss anybody?
Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Joseph Horesco, HORESCO.
And
Stuart.
Jeff.
Stuart Gordon.
Yes, this is Stuart Gordon, GORDON.
And
Jeffrey.
Jeff Puleo.
Jeff Puleo, PULEO.
Christopher, there are several other names in the attendees list that sometimes are panelists for you all. Is there anyone else you'd like us to pull over at this time?
Not at this time. I think we could pull them in if there's a very specific questions where they have an expertise. I think we have who we need at the moment.
Okay.
We didn't have enough.
Let me just ask one thing. I think I heard Ms. Pritchard spell her name differently than it's shown on the screen, and I just want to make sure that if we're capturing names for minutes, we spell them correctly. So is Preschard, is that correct?
It's wrong on the screen. Yeah, Peschard.
Thank you.
Thank you for catching that. Okay, so let's, I think the next step is, I have two exhibits that we could mark into evidence, Jerry, and then we'll use those as we move through our testimony.
Okay.
The first exhibit is our detailed, sort of a PowerPoint presentation, I would say, our slide presentation. It's made up of 91 slides. And we have a response letter that my office put together responding to the review reports, and that's about a 25-page document. So that would be applicant exhibit A1 and A2.
Thank you. That's fine.
And our first witness is Ron McCoy, University architect. He's been before the board many times. He's a licensed architect in New Jersey. Ron, you have been already sworn in. I guess I would also like him qualified as a licensed architect to the extent he provides any architectural testimony. Okay.
Sure.
Ron, would you give us a very brief overview of your education and qualifications?
As Christopher said, I'm a licensed architect in New Jersey and several other states. I'm a graduate of Princeton University. I was the chair and director of School of Architecture at Arizona State University. I'm a fellow in the AIA.
We accept your qualifications. Thanks, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. McCoy, would you like to pull up Exhibit A1?
I will do that.
Share the screen.
I must say, after those introductions, there's nothing left to say, but I did put together 91 slides, so maybe we should do it. 1 sec. All right, ready?
Ready.
Okay, so we will, as Mr. Muller will remind us in a minute, we will identify each slide as we go through it. We'll do our best to do that. This is slide 1. I will be joined by some of our consultants to talk about landscape, stormwater, acoustics, and traffic. And they will be sworn in as we go through the presentation. As we go through the presentation, we will try to identify responses to questions we received in staff reports. So we'll do our best to tie those together to make everything as efficient as possible.
Thank you.
This is the agenda we'll go through. We'll talk a little bit about the 2026 campus plan, which is the guiding document for this generation of development. Talk a bit about the program, more specifically about the context. Talk about stormwater and sustainability, exterior materials, acoustics, parking, and the variance requests that Christopher noted. So the 2026 campus plan, this is slide 3. This is slide 4. The 2026 campus plan is, importantly, it's not a roadmap of what we will do. It's a guiding document that gives us optionality and scenarios for flexibility. This shows the area to the east of Washington Road. The more specific buildings, rectangular buildings on the north side of the Ivy Lane and Western Way, were a test fit of the capacity of those sites to handle the programs that we imagined to be built for environmental studies in the School of Engineering. South of Ivy Lane, you see in other parts of the drawing, you see a kind of a yellow mask. Those areas were anticipated to be developed within the next 30 years for future buildings and for many times for opportunities that were unknown at the time that we developed the 2026 campus plan. And quantum is exactly one of those opportunities. We did not have quantum on our radar when we developed the 2026 campus plan, but we knew that we needed expansion area around this new neighborhood for engineering for research that would emerge and take advantage of the synergies next to engineering. And that's what we see here with the Quantum Institute. On the left-hand side of the slide, you see some of the guiding principles from the 2026 campus plan that talk about creating an integrated environment for teaching, living, and learning, enhancing the distinctive sense of place of the Princeton campus, creating supportive and welcoming spaces, thoughtful approaches to sustainability, and to serve the communities that extend beyond the boundaries of the campus. And this being an edge condition, we took that very seriously as we designed the eastern edge of the campus of the project adjacent to Fitz-Randolph. Now we're on slide 5. This talks more specifically about the value proposition of the particular project, the Quantum Institute. The first bullet you see here, as Christopher mentioned, is that this advances the GeoExchange goals of the university to achieve carbon neutrality by 2046. So we've learned as we've embarked on this goal that every time we have a construction project, we need to look at the site underneath that construction project as an opportunity for GeoExchange wells. And so on this project, we have done that, and we are drilling the site beneath the project as a separate application for GeoExchange wells. There are some staff comments about whether or not those GeoExchange wells would interfere with the building. We'll get to those a little bit later. The answer is no. That's a totally separate system. The laterals that connect the GeoExchange system are at the perimeter of the building and accessible. So, but the GeoExchange wells themselves are not, and they're independent, and they will not. The building will not impact the functionality of the GeoExchange wells. All right, now we're on page 6. So now I'm going to tell you what quantum research is all about. But not being a quantum expert.
Oh, good. I'm sitting forward in my chair.
I'm going to tell you what I read. So Princeton's quantum science and engineering efforts span foundational research and technological innovation. The Quantum Science and Engineering Graduate Program offers interdisciplinary training at the intersection of quantum physics and information technology, and it prepares students to be leaders in the emerging quantum industry. Princeton University has a deep legacy and a unique position in the field of quantum science. The quantum science journey at Princeton began in 1935 with Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen's work on quantum entanglement theories. The university has since produced Nobel laureates and groundbreaking research. The Princeton Quantum Institute, which is also known as PQI, was launched.
Ryan, could you explain the quantum theories of Einstein? What were they entanglement?
We'll get that later. That's a separate presentation. The Quantum Institute initiative was launched in 2019, and it brings together 30 faculty from across the disciplines in physics, engineering, chemistry, computer science, and material science. This cohort of different researchers foster collaboration across theory, experimentation, and application. The faculty are pioneering in quantum computing, architectures, quantum-grade materials, long-distance computing communication systems, and other emerging technologies and research. So now let me refer to one of the planning comments, number 15, which was to clarify the types of experiments. I think that broad overview I gave is to characterize the type of research that's done. But I think importantly, the chemicals that are used or the materials that are used in research are consistent with the academic standards of this type of research that's already used on the campus. And the university's chemical waste program is managed by the Office of Environmental Health and Safety in accordance with federal and state regulations. So while the research is new and different, the methodologies of getting to that research are familiar on campus, and nothing is new there. All right, with that, we'll move on to page 7, slide 7. This is just a graphic program that shows the distribution of the assignable square feet in the building. As you can see, if you look at the yellow, which is the research laboratories, the green, which is teaching spaces, the dark green, which is clean room, and then the blues are administrative and research offices. That's what this project is about. There is some small meeting space, there's a lecture room, an event space, and some building support in the assignable square foot. So it's, as Christopher said, the building is 225,000 gross square feet, and the assignable program is 116,500 square feet. Now on slide 8 is a transition slide. We're going to talk about the context and campus planning principles. So slide 9, this gives a more detailed location of the site at the corner of Fitzrandolph and Ivy Lane. What was labeled as the east-west connector on the same yellow line as Ivy Lane, that's what we called it in the campus plan. And then you see the north-south drive, which north of Ivy Lane is called Crystalline Drive. That's a new name drive that we've just launched. And south of it is the Northwest Campus Walk. Those are the primary connections to the rest of the campus. And as we go forward, I'll talk about some of the other connecting pathways in the campus. And then you see around here the new project for environmental studies, Burger Hall and Seas to the north of Ivy Lane. You see Roberts Stadium, Finney Campbell, and other athletic fields to the south and to the west. And most importantly, the parking garage at the far southeast corner of the site, which serves the entire university parking system, which feeds also into this particular project. Slide 9 is a more detailed granular look at the campus connectors. Until recently on this site, we had a temporary softball field, but you'll see here also the introduction of this pathway that connects Stadium Drive across to the east and to Fitzrandolph. We will talk about that as we go ahead. This is slide 10. The Ivy Lane is a shared street, and it connects the neighborhood to the west of Stadium Drive. Let me talk a little bit about the comments related to the concept plan. In the concept plan, it's true that we had imagined the Ivy Lane as it's developed over time to continue the shared shoulders that run along the side of the street between Stadium Drive and Fitzrandolph Road. We're not doing that at this time because we know we have future construction ahead of us, and so that street will be destroyed with the future construction. So when those future projects are complete, that's when we will complete the shared shoulders along the complete street, which is Ivy Lane. I think I just want to say that the north-south connector is a pedestrian walkway that connects down to Faculty Road. All right, now we're on slide 11. This one talks about the vehicular circulation in this area of campus. And as you can see, around the site, the vehicular access only goes on the connecting road between Stadium Drive and Fitzrandolph Road. We call that a campus walk. It's a campus walk that's used by service vehicles and also by vehicles that need to access the loading dock. This is very typical on campus, that we have these kinds of shared drives, campus walks that are used for access for service vehicles and for loading docks. So let me see if there's anything else I want to say about this one. All right, I'll get to the details now on the campus circulation. So this is a drawing 12 that shows the pedestrian circulation. And here's where you see the more granular network of pedestrian paths that access the site. I mentioned a minute ago that this tradition of having campus walks serve as shared roads for access to loading docks and also for service. We have those commonly on campus. We have them at Goheen Walk. We have them on the walk between Icon and Lewis Thomas Laboratory. We have them accessing Whitman College. We have them on the east side of the new residential colleges. We have them on McCosh Walk in the center of the campus. Traffic on those roads it must yield to pedestrians. So pedestrians and bikes have the right of way. This addresses the comments that are made in the planning board comment number 4. I'm sorry, that just addresses a general comment about the kind of use of that road. However, planning board comment number 4 asks to clarify the overall project is designed for 1,184 individuals and how they'll arrive to the building. They will arrive to the building. Yes, it's sized for that 1,184 occupants, and they will arrive to the building via this network of pedestrian pathways. They will park on campus as in the overall system that TPS, Transportation and Parking Services, manages, most likely in the new stadium garage, and they will use the pedestrian pathways to get to the building. There's no parking at the building. All right, now slide 13. I'm going to use this slide to talk a bit more about several aspects of the questions we received and comments we received in the planning reports, in the staff reports. So planning comment number 2 asks us to confirm the phasing and provide a timeline for future phases and the scales and dimensions of future buildings, and to clarify the western portion of the site, how it will be developed while awaiting those future buildings. So let me address that one first and say that the concept plan was a long-term vision. We do not have any specific target dates for the construction of those facilities. We presented the concept plan in order to demonstrate that we're thinking about this building in the context of what we know will be future campus development, but we have never put a time scale on that future campus development. And so whether it's a year or 10 years, the site to the west of the Quantum Institute will be a temporary meadow and will be used for future academic buildings when we decide to launch those academic buildings. I'm also going to use this slide because it shows a bit of the floor plan to address planning comment number 5, which asks us to clarify the proposed classroom functions of the building. And it asks, will the labs on level A be used for lab classes or only for research? And will the auditorium on level 1 be used for undergraduate classes? So the response to that question, comment number 5, is that the laboratories on level A are not used for classes. There is, on this level, the main entrance level 1 classroom for student research, for student classes, a laboratory here just to the eastern side of the building, right opposite the main entrance to the building. And level A is all research space. The auditorium on level 1, immediately to the south of the entrance, will be used for classrooms by the registrar and also for events that support the Quantum Institute. There's also, I think I'll use this slide also because it's the most detailed slide that talks about the generator location. There was a comment from the Zoning Engineering Special Features report, comment number 1, asked us to address information about the location of the generator to be. It's a new generator in an enlarged yard. So there's a current generator there. We're increasing the size of the yard to accommodate a new generator. And as was described, it's within the boundaries of the site plan that we've submitted. So it's not outside the site plan boundaries of the project. All right, now on slide 14, we've gone up a level and we're showing the second floor of the Quantum Institute. Now at the second floor, the terracing of the building begins to become more evident as it steps away from the eastern side of the site where Fitz-Randolph is. You'll see the footprint of the second floor is stepped away further from Fitz-Randolph, and the space between the footprint of level 2 and level 1 is used for green roofs. So, and the landscape to the east of the building, between the building and Fitz-Randolph, we see as a kind of shared landscape amenity. Stone will talk about this when he talks about the landscape, a bit like Betsy Stockton Garden, which is a garden. So this is a public amenity that the neighbors can use, faculty and staff and students can use, and it brings people together in the landscape. So that's all part of the buffer that's related to zoning setbacks at the east side of Fitz-Randolph. All right, now slide 15. I do want to point out there's one change in this slide from what we submitted, I think yesterday or today. We've added an arrow here at this East-West Campus Walk, at the west end of the East-West Campus Walk. We've added an arrow just for clarification. That's important because this East-West Campus Walk is two-directional for 95% of the uses. Only the large trucks that come about once a week, which cannot turn around in this loading dock, will head out to the east of the site and will exit through a controlled gate, and it will make a right-hand turn only on that when they hit Fitzrandolph Road. But service vehicles, small carts, and box trucks will be going both ways along that east-west campus walk, just as they do on the many campus walks that I mentioned on campus. Emergency vehicles will have a keyed access to that gate from Fitzrandolph, so they could either come via Stadium Drive and come from west to east, or they could come from Fitzrandolph and come from east to west. Now I'm going to slide 16. This talks again about pedestrian circulation, and let me get to the comments here. We were asked to address pedestrian safety in the planning and engineering pedestrian safety comment number 1. Pedestrian safety is, as it is on the rest of the campus, handled with these shared pathways at east-west, the campus walks that we have. They are sized in this new project at 12 feet or 8 feet typically, to accommodate the kind of traffic or 22 feet for the major one. East-west campus walk is 22 feet wide. So these are sized to accommodate the kinds of traffic that we anticipate there'll be on them, and they provide the shared use paths and are safe throughout the campus. I'll also point on this slide, we'll talk a little bit about it later, but the drop of topography, because you'll see the elevations are shown here on this drawing. There is more than a 16-foot drop in the topography from the northern side of the building to the southern side of the building. You'll see here a 12-foot drop in the finished floor elevations between the south entrance and the main entrance. Slide 17 here talks about bicycle circulation. As with the rest of the campus, the bikes and pedestrians will share the campus walks. As I just mentioned, the widths of the pathways are sized appropriate for this multimodal usage. We have 88 bike parking racks are provided that accommodate 176 bikes on the site. They're, as was noted earlier by Mr. Foote, they're primarily located on the western side where we expect all the arrivals to be. The quantity of bikes is extrapolated from our campus experience with buildings that have similar programs, similar ratios of laboratories, offices, student populations, and also the distance from the heart of the campus. We know that the buildings that are further from the heart of the campus are going to have a bit more bicycle use than a building that's in the center of the campus. And we're satisfying our bike requirements pursuant to the requirements of Ordinance Section 10B-282.2D for institutions of higher education and learning. This is the applicable standard for this building since it's not a dormitory, and therefore interior bike parking, the distinction between long-term and short-term is not required, and covered bike parking is not required. So that addresses planning comment 24, which asks us to address the ordinance 10B-282.2C. And as I said, that applies to dormitories, but not to academic buildings. We will report the bicycle use in our annual report that we submit to the municipality, and we will mitigate any shortfalls in the numbers of spaces that are identified in this annual transportation, demand management, and parking report that we submit.
And just, Ron, for informational purposes, the 2025 report was submitted earlier this week. And if you're taking a look at biking for the campus, you're looking at something like 6,105 spaces required. And the campus has 7,443. So we currently have a surplus of 854 spaces, just to give the board an idea. But it was reported earlier in this week, and that is available to review.
Great, thanks. All right, now on slide 18, This addresses some of the comments I've already made about service and emergency access. It will be provided along that east-west campus walk at the southern side of the site. This is where we have widths of 22 feet using a 12-foot porous asphalt adjacent to a 10-foot wide grasscrete path. This is a strategy we've used at things like the new residential college, where we can provide footings for the outriggers of emergency vehicles along the pathway, but we can also plant grass and reduce the amount of impervious surface along that walkway. That will continue from Stadium Drive all the way to the Fitz-Randolph, and it'll bring vehicles to that loading dock, as I mentioned. And as I said, only the once a week longer trucks will need to go out through the eastern side. All other traffic will have to go out to the west to Stadium Drive. And that's obviously to prevent traffic from going into the neighborhood. And for those weekly trucks that do exit on Fitz-Randolph, they will be required to turn southbound or turn right on Fitz-Randolph. Okay. Slide 19. This is talks about site accessibility. As I mentioned a little while ago, there's a substantial slope across the site from north to south, about a little bit more than 16 feet. Thus, the main entrance at the west at 143 is a level above the entrance at the southwest corner of the site. And I should also use this drawing to indicate that a portion of the level B of level B below the building comes out to the perimeter of the building here. So that's all under a green roof. So that green roof that I mentioned that serves as a setback to Fitz-Randolph. Part of that area has the laboratories underneath it. The site is all the pathways on the site are fully accessible. There are indicated in orange here 2 areas on the west and 2 areas on the east that involve stairs and steps. But wherever there is a stair or step, there's a parallel or equivalent pathway for accessibility. So all the entrances at every corner and this exit here at the east side have accessible routes. On the east side, because of the stairs and the steep drop off to Fitz-Randolph, the pathways go to the north and connect to Ivy Lane. All right, slide 20. I'm going to transition to Stomu here, who will talk about the landscape, but I just want to use this slide to introduce the landscape strategy is to recognize the different zones of the campus, different placemaking opportunities of the campus. And as Stomu goes through his slides, he will address everything here. So Stomu, why don't you take it away? Just tell me when to change the slides.
So Stone, you were already sworn in, but we need to get you qualified.
Sure. So my name is Tom Bishop. I'm a licensed landscape architect and the director with field operations. We've been working on the multiple projects with Princeton University over the past 7 years. I have a Bachelor of Agriculture from University of Tokyo and the Master of Landscape Architecture from the University of Pennsylvania. I've been practicing landscape architecture over 19 years, and I'm registered in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania.
And your New Jersey license is current.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
We'd like
you.
to
We
present
accept your qualifications.
Thank you.
So this is slide 20. So as I mentioned, I will walk you through the places we are proposing around the building, including North-South Campus Walk, East-West Campus Walk, Woods, East Gardens, Structured Gardens, and Streetscape. Next. Slide 21. So starting with the northwest corner of the building, we are proposing a series of the lawn areas along the North-South Campus Walk to create the open and inviting landscapes for the west entrance, which is a primary entrance to the proposed building. Next. Slide 22, showing the east-west sections cutting through this area. So as you can see in the sections, this area in front of the entrance overlooks the temporary meadow to the west. There will be a very open and gorgeous view to the meadow, although it's meant to be a temporary. Also, we are proposing a sunken garden to provide light and air to the building lower level, as well as be creating a small outdoor space, which I will discuss in details with the sections in a bit. Next, slide 23, showing the paving materials and the furnishings proposed for this area. The north-south campus walk and the plaza space in front of the entrance will be paved with the permeable unit paver for the stormwater management. And this paver is the campus standard, and it has been used at the Firestone Library and Beyond GM, and is also going to be used at some other projects which are currently under construction. We are also providing a good number of bike racks near the entrance where the demand for the bike parking is high. 30 bike racks in total proposed for this entrance.
And again,
yes.
again, each rack will accept two bikes, correct?
That's correct. So 60 bike parking spaces for this area. And here, I just want to hand over to Ron to speak to the future campus art proposed in this area at the corner of the building.
Right, and Christopher, you may help us here. We have identified a hypothetical site for campus art. We have not selected that artwork, but we want to see if we can include it in the proposal in the application. And then, Christopher, I think our strategy is to request that the approval of the art be deferred to the landscape subcommittee later.
Yeah, or municipal staff.
Yeah.
Basically, we put the foundation in as part of this project, anticipating art in that area. And the final location, and I guess the art, hopefully we could get that just reviewed administratively through with staff would be helpful.
I'll leave that to the board to discuss, but if we have, no other landscape issues to take to the landscape subcommittee, I would think that's probably fine. But if we do go take things to the landscape subcommittee, then the art could be part of that. I certainly don't foresee any hitch.
Okay, thank you.
The next slide 24, showing the planting proposed for this area. So as I mentioned, we have 3 lawn areas shown in light green, which are populated with the 3 Kentucky coffee trees to create the sense of threshold. The lawn areas are surrounded by the planting beds with trees, shrubs, and ground cover planting. And proposed tree species include redbud, dogwood, honey locust here. And the area west of the north-south campus walk shown in orange will be meadow as we discussed, which will be very similar to what we just planted at the Meadows campus in West Windsor. And lastly, 18-inch wide gravel strip will be installed in the planting beds all around the building to address the new fire code. Next, slide 25, the proposed shrub species, including the buckeye, the smoke tree, and the sumac. And the ground covers will be mainly grasses, along with some perennials as an accent. Next. Slide 26. So moving on to the southwest corner of the building, where there's another entrance, south entrance. We are proposing a grove of multi-trunk trees to signify the corner. We are also proposing the bioretention basin at the southwest corner of the building. Next, slide 27. Paving materials proposed for this area, which are essentially same as the area in the north that I just discussed. We are also proposing a stair over the bioretention basin in order to make the access to the building from the bike parking area in the south easier. Yes, that's the south, the bike parking area. The next. Slide 28, showing the proposed furnishings. We are proposing to create a gathering space in front of the south entrance with 2 very unique benches shown in orange. One is straight, the other one is curved. And in a similar fashion to the west entrance, we are providing plenty of bike racks, 58 bike racks. That means 116 bike parking spaces in total for this entrance.
So if I could just jump in here and point out the lectern wayfinding signage, which is shown in this diagram, this photograph here. And that's located right here because this will be a point of arrival for people who are coming either from the west or from the stadium garage. So as they approach the building, they'll have an opportunity to see one of our wayfinding signs that gives them orientation to the campus.
And because that type of sign's not really contemplated by the municipal ordinance, we're requesting a variance for that sign. The similar sign is on the south, to the north rather. This is the south side of that path. As you follow up the walk on the slide before, I guess we showed it, there's another one of those proposed to kind of orient people to give them some information on where they are and how to get to where they want to go.
Right.
So next, slide 30.
I think we're on 29.
Sorry, this is 29. Sorry. Proposed planting. So multi-trunk river birch trees are proposed to create the grove, and the tulip poplar and the katsura tree are proposed at the key location. And other proposed tree species include swamp white oak and yellow oak. And the planting beds are filled with shrubs and ground covers in the same way as the area in the north. Next, this is slide 30. Moving further south, so we are creating another small gathering space by reshaping the plaza that's been built for the Roberts Stadium. Next, slide 31, proposed paving materials and furnishings for this area. So this area will be paved with the same premium wall unit paver to reinforce the continuity of the north-south campus walk. And gathering space will be furnished with the existing curved bench as well as some loose furniture. Next, slide 32, proposed planting. So it will be a mix of trees, shrubs, and ground cover planting, including honey locust, tulip poplar, the horse-thorn, and nineberg for this area. Next, slide 33. Again, here I'm going to turn over to Ron to talk about the East-West Campus Walk.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit already, but this is just another opportunity to respond to one of the questions, planning comment number 22, which asks us to clarify if there will be a traffic restriction device at the southern access drive from Stadium Drive, which we assume is referring to this intersection here. And the answer is no. As I pointed out earlier, there will be signage that says this is restricted access. Because we need to get serviced vehicles and carts and things like that to the loading dock. And I said, again, with the exception of the large vehicle, which comes weekly, everybody will also go out in that direction. So we do not imagine that there'll be any functional benefit to having a restricted device at that intersection. It'll be more common on campus to have that open for vehicular traffic. And then we have an exit only gate here, as we've mentioned, and a right turn only southbound on Fitzrandolph to stay away from the neighbors.
Just one point for the record, we updated this sign to add this slide to add the exit only language there. There's 4 slides that we've since updated since it was submitted and posted on the website. And this is the second one. Mr. McCoy already identified the first one, which was slide 15. We added the arrow. This one was also similarly updated.
Thank you, Christopher.
The next slide, 34, proposed paving materials and furnishings for the East-West Campus Walk. So the north half of the walk will be paved with the porous asphalt shown in blue. And the other half, the south half, will be paved with grasscrete shown in green. And as Ron mentioned, grasscrete is basically the concrete paving with voids, which can be filled with either grass or gravel. and we have used this material for a few projects on campus, and it's been very successful in reducing the scale of the hardscape. And as Ron mentioned in the previous slide, gate will be installed at east end of the walk, and then signage will be installed at west end of the walk to control vehicular traffic at each location. Next, slide 35. Zooming into the loading dock. The loading dock comes with the space for the vehicular maneuvering, which will be discussed in detail later in the presentation by Sandy. You can also see the grasscrete looks like, in the pictures in the upper left corner. Next, slide 36, showing the proposed planting along the east-west campus walk. So this walkway will be flanked by metal planting beds and bioretention basins. Next, slide 37, zooming into 3 bioretention basins located between the building and the east-west campus walk. As I previously mentioned, there will be 1 basin at the southwest corner of the building, and there will be 2 more bioretention basins at the southeast corner of the building with 2 different levels as shown in the section. These 2 basins are, more visible to the public, so they can bring a great opportunity to showcase what the university is doing for the stormwater management. Next, slide 38, proposed planting palette for the bioretention basins and some precedent images. So the basins will be heavily planted with a mix of trees, shrubs, and ground covers, like the ones in the images shown here. Next, slide 39. Right now, moving on to the east side of the building. This area actually contains various types of landscapes, including terrace, the courtyard, grove, and woods, along with the level changes. So it will be a very interesting space to be walked through, as well as to be looked at from the street level. The next slide 40, the slide is showing the east-west sections to illustrate the level changes in this area. So as you can see, the terrace, it's basically as Ron said, it's the green roofs and the terrace in front of the building is at a higher elevation than the street level. And there will be a terraced bioretention basins between these 2 spaces.
Let me just point out, maybe it's clear in this section here, that this fuchsia colored line here is the roof of the building below, of the laboratories below. You see the green roof here, and then it terraces down to the Fitz-Randolph Road and the walkway, sidewalk.
Right. It's continuous, when you're on the ground, so you don't realize the building.
Yeah,
just the building underneath the garden. This is slide 41.
41.
Proposed paving materials and furnishings. So the terrace and the courtyard will be paved with the same permeable unit paver and furnished with the benches and movable furniture. Lots of space to sit to enjoy the outdoor space. Next, slide 42, proposed planting. Again, this area will have various types of planting, including canopy trees, understory trees, and shrubs to create woods at the northeast corner of the site, flowering trees for the grove along the terrace bioretention basins, symbol tree for the courtyard at the southeast corner of the area. And by the way, this tree is the Katsura tree, one of the non-native species we are specifying. And the bioretention basins will be densely planted with shrubs and ground covers. Next, slide 43. Now we are moving on to the places that are integrated into the building. We call them structured gardens, including the sunken garden that we discussed, roof terraces, green roofs, and vine planting for the building facade. Next, slide 44. First, the sunken garden located just north of the west entrance. So this is a section cutting through the garden, and you can see space to occupy on the right-hand side, and 2 raised planting beds on the left-hand side, just on the upper level side. And these planting beds are meant to mitigate the scale of the tall wall between the upper level and the lower level. And the scheme shown here is what we had documented in the municipal submission. We recently changed the design a bit by lowering the 2 planting beds to address some maintenance concerns. So this is slide 45, the revised, the current scheme. As you can see, 2 beds were lowered for ease of the planting maintenance. But now we have small trees in the upper planter. So this configuration still should be able to mitigate the scale of the very tall wall. Next, slide 46. So proposed planting for the sunken garden. So, obviously this area will be heavily shaded. So we are specifying shade around plants such as hornbeam, Christmas fern, maiden hair fern, and salmon seal. And we are also specifying the English ivy to cover the wall, which is not native and considered invasive, as pointed out in the reports from the town, specifically comment number 4 in the landscape architect's report, and one of the comments in the shade tree committee's report. However, this sunken garden is very contained. You saw the very tall wall there and heavily shaded. So we believe it is less likely that the vine is gonna spread out from the space. Next, slide 47. Now we are on the roofs. We are covering substantial area with vegetation. Both extensive green roofs shown in the dark green and intensive green roofs shown in the light green. And the area highlighted with the magenta box, there are 3. These are the roof terraces that we are proposing.
So let me point out,
Sure.
this yellow
Oh, yeah.
line is a additional restriction barrier, so that if someone leaves the building to access that roof terrace to enjoy being out in nature, we want to prevent them from walking across the roof and getting near the edge. So this is a barrier that prevents people from going further toward the perimeter of the building.
Right, thank you, Ron. Next, slide 48. So showing one of the 3 terraces that we just discussed. So the terrace will be paved with paver and bounded by a concrete wall with the bench seat top. So it's a very small space, but it can provide the users with the opportunity to get outside and enjoy fresh air. When you don't have time to go to downstairs. Next, slide 49. Moving on to the vine planting for the building facade. So the vine is a very important design element of the building facade, and we are proposing essentially, for all building faces. Next, slide 50. So we are proposing these 4 different vine species. As I mentioned, one of them is English ivy, but all other 3 species are native, including American wisteria, clematis, and Dutchman's pipe. Next, slide 51, showing the building elevations with the vine planting highlighted in green. As you can see, it is integrated into the facade design, enhancing the articulation of the building facade. The next, slide 52. Now moving on to the streetscape on Ivy Lane in north and Fitzrandolph Road in the east. We are proposing to create landscapes with shade and seasonal interest. Next, slide 53, proposed paving materials and furnishings for the streetscape. So the fire lane north of the building will be paved with grasscrete, shown in green, and the sidewalk on the Ivy Lane will be a cast-in-place concrete, shown in orange. This is the continuation of the sidewalk in the west. And then the sidewalk on the Fitzrandolph will be the porous asphalt, shown in blue. And the bollards are proposed at each curb cut on Ivy Lane to restrict the vehicular access to the fire lane. Next, slide 54. talks about the existing trees we are preserving. So they are large and mature, and we understand the board's landscape architect raised the concern about the preserving 2 Norway maples on Ivy Lane, since they are in fact the invasive species. That's comment number 2 in his report. So we recognize the concern, but would like to keep them because they can provide much needed shade for the pedestrian and also have some presence while the newly planted trees grow, which obviously takes some time. Next, slide 55, proposed tree planting. The proposed canopy trees are shown in dark green, and the proposed understory trees are in yellow. We have a few of them on the Ivy Lane, and then the existing trees are in light green. So for the trees on Fitzrandolph Road, we have originally proposed all canopy trees as shown here, but we realized that there are not much room for the new canopy trees because of the size of the existing trees still remain. So we made minor adjustments. The scheme shown here is the original scheme, which we documented in the municipal submission. And the next slide, slide 56, is showing the revised current tree planting scheme. So as you can see, we replaced some of the proposed canopy trees on Fitzrandolph Road with the understory trees shown in yellow. And we believe this actually works better from the design standpoint, since these understory trees will help make the streetscape more diverse with a layered effect. Next, slide 57. Going back to the zooming out to the overall site. And this slide is showing the tree removable plan. And we recognize there are some discrepancies about the tree counts in the drawings, as pointed out in the reports from the town, specifically comment number 28 in the planning report, and one of the comments in the shade tree committee's report. So I'll be clarifying all the tree counts in this slide, and then the next one, 58. Also, there were 2 typos in the presentation we shared with the town on Tuesday. So I will correct those typos as well. So here we go. So we are preserving 22 existing trees, not 24 as shown in the previously shared presentation, and removing the 48 trees. And 3 trees have been already removed because of their health conditions. And the 34, not 33, out of the 51 trees are larger than 8-inch DBH, which require tree replacement. And per the ordinance, 45 tree replacement is required for those 34 trees to be removed or that have been already removed. Next, sorry, can you go back to the one slide? Yes, 57, sorry. I also want to speak to the comment number 29 in the planning report regarding the existing tree protection outside of the limit of the work. So responding to the comment, yes, we will work with the town's arborists to make sure we protect existing trees that may be affected by construction activity, even if they are outside the limit of disturbance. Next, slide 58. Here's the proposed tree planting plan. So we are planting 150 trees, and 129 out of the 150 trees are larger than 2.5-inch caliber trees, which can be counted towards the tree replacement. And last tree, as I briefly mentioned, 2 out of the 129 trees are non-native species, which are the Katsura trees. And they are proposed at the primary location. And we understand the using non-native species was pointed out in the landscape architect's report, comment number 3, and the mentioned in the environmental commission's report. However, they are part of the important landscape design elements, so we would like to keep them in the design, given that we are planting much more than required by the ordinance, and the katsura trees are not technically considered invasive species.
So this slide is also been updated, right, from the earlier deck of
Oh,
slides
yes,
submitted?
yes, that's the, yes.
Okay.
Two numbers were corrected in these two
Yep.
slides.
All right, number 59, we're going to bring in Jeff. Jeff will
there?
need to get sworn in.
Yes, you're sworn in. Can you tell us a little bit about your education and qualifications?
Graduate of Roger Williams University, 1991. Been a registered architect for 29 years. I am registered in 5 states, and including New Jersey. I'm licensed and registered in the state of New Jersey. I'm a planning principal with HGA. Here to talk about this one plan.
Thank you. We accept your qualifications.
Thank you.
I think the first thing I'd like to say is that the lighting plan proposed for Quantum Building here is very consistent with the university standards and fixtures that you're accustomed to seeing around campus. The lighting fixture selection shown on the left are categorized in tiers of lighting for site and the building. The first selection of fixtures are the street lighting along Ivy Lane and Fitz-Randolph, to the east. And that's the pole leg that's labeled PX2, and the graphic on the plan is a little small to read. And that's 20 feet tall. The second tier in are what we call pedestrian pole lights, and that's PX1. And that will also mirror that same location along Ivy Lane to the north and Fitz-Randolph to the east. And it'll continue down on the pedestrian way that stretches north-south on the west side of the building, and along the service road along the south across the site. In between, for the pedestrian pathways that lead up to the entrances of the building, we have bollards, the BX1. Those are lower height, 36 to 42 inches in height, and light the pathway along up to the building. At building entrances, major building entrances on the west, southwest corner, at the loading dock, and again on the east, are downlights in a canopy, shielded from view, and downlight just the entrance portion of the buildings. We do have a number of light wall floodlights, if you will, that are all angled downward and are at the loading dock in the south, highlighting that deep guarding on the west side. They're low level, lower than grade level, if you will, down deep in the well. And there's some edged light along those retaining walls as well that shine in towards the building. All of the lighting calculations that were performed for this layout meet the city requirements for street and pedestrian ways, and are selected to prevent night sky pollution. And so that those angled fixtures are all primarily downlight fixtures.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else? All right, now Sandy, I think we're going to turn to you to talk about the loading docks.
Yes, so I need to just be sworn in first, I believe.
I think you got sworn in, but we need to qualify you.
Absolutely. So I am a professional engineer in good standing in the state of New Jersey and in Massachusetts. I have over 30 years of experience and happy to go into any details about professional societies or any other qualifications you'd like me to talk about.
Just your education, if you've appeared before the boards, etc. in New
Sure.
Jersey?
So I graduated in 1985 with a civil engineering degree.
And you've presented to Princeton.
I
and
presented
Southern.
to West Windsor. I have not presented to the Princeton.
Okay, thank you. We accept your qualifications.
All right. I'll just start with slide number 60, which shows the dimensions of the 2-bay loading dock. This is in response to several comments related to the loading dock, including, let me just get that, including planning comments number 20 and site plan comments number 8 and 9. So the next 3 slides will be responding to those comments.
If I can I just jump in here and just say, maybe I hope you weren't going to say this, but I also want to say that there have been several comments about the interior trash room and the waste management program. And I just want to say here in response to planning comment number 20, which asks us to confirm the adequacy of the trash storage given the size of the building, commenting that it's relatively small, and to talk about how that is going to be managed and operated. And I would just, the response is to say that our trash collection is managed by the University Building Services, and the capacity of all trash storage in the building is coordinated with the waste handling schedule. So we realize that a smaller interior trash room will need to be managed and serviced more often, but that's the kind of total scheme that we're initiating on this project. So it's the point is that the size of the trash room is in sync with the operational plan to manage the size of the trash room. Shall I go forward, Sandy?
Yes, please. And so what I'll be doing is going through some turning movements for the different vehicles that will be accessing this loading dock. We'll start with the turning movements for Kubota tractors. So as Ron just indicated, that the trash room and everything will be serviced by the university. This is the vehicle that the university typically uses for trash collection, but also for general building services. And this is a relatively small vehicle. It's approximately 12 feet long. It can easily maneuver on the east-west access road and in and out of the loading dock pretty freely. The next slide, which would be 62, this is actually the vehicle that is the largest vehicle that will be accessing this loading dock. This is a WB 62, and the actual length of that trailer truck is 69 feet long. The WB means wheelbase. That's why it's WB 62, and this one is a little bit longer. This vehicle will enter the Quantum site off of Stadium Drive. It'll go down the east-west connector to the loading dock. It will back into the loading dock. You can see basically the tracks of the vehicle and how it backs up. It would then leave this loading dock out towards Fisk Randolph, taking a right and only going south. And these are the turning movements that were requested. I also want to just make sure that you're aware that there was turning movements submitted for all the fire trucks for the different access of the building. That happens to be on sheet C705, but this is addressing the loading dock specifically. So I think we can move on to the next slide.
Before we do that, let me say that there are other staff report comments at these slides that the testimony that Sandy and I have given should satisfy. One of them is, I'm not going to read them all in detail because they all talk about the same issue of the dock sizes, turning radii, and the size of the trash room. But they are planning comment number 25, site plan comment number 7, site plan comment number 9, all relate to these topics that we've just given testimony on.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next conversation will be around stormwater and sustainability. If we go to the next slide, which is 64, you've already seen a lot of this information presented because most of this is showing up on the landscape plans. And the reason is because the stormwater management is integrated into the landscape in a very thoughtful way. So this is an overview of the site, As I said, some of this you've already seen. The brown areas, the areas of the different porous pavement systems, whether that's the Grasscrete, the porous asphalt, or the porous pavers that were previously mentioned. It also shows the building with the various green roofs on it. The different colors have to do with the depth of green roof. And then also you've already seen some sections previously presented that show the bioretention basins, whether you're on the east side of the building. And I'll be going through these sections again, but my presentation will be showing you how the stormwater systems are integrated into those landscape plans.
Okay.
The other kind of couple of things that wanted to point out here, and this is just kind of a summary about the amount of green infrastructure that's being prepared or being proposed on this particular project. When you look at the drainage area for the quantum building site, it's about 6.75 acres. Of that 6.75 acres, there's approximately 43% of that will be green infrastructure. And that includes the porous pavement systems, the green roofs, and the bioretention. That's pretty significant. Also on the left-hand side of this plan is the proposed generator area. That area will be taken care of in service. The stormwater will be taken care of through a crushed stone in and around all of the proposed generators and other equipment. If we go to the next slide.
Before we do, let me just add one comment here.
Sure.
To say that I think this Sandy's testimony now, well, the testimony I'm about to give satisfies response to planning comment number 27, which asked us to confirm that future phases of the project will provide additional stormwater management. And the answer is yes. We were very careful during the concept design phase to make sure that those future projects would be designed or had enough site capacity to handle the stormwater requirements that they will be that would be required to manage. So even though we haven't designed the buildings, that will obviously be the requirement that we have given ourselves for those buildings.
Correct. It was very intentional based on where our limit of stormwater systems were to make sure there was ample space and location for any future buildings being developed. So this first section is section 1, which is on the southwest corner of the building. This actually shows bioretention basin 6, but it also shows you how the section that goes up through some of the walkways and entrance plazas, and also through the campus walkway, of how all of the systems are integrated into what you've already seen in the landscape. So starting with the porous pavers, there will be basically subsurface storage underneath those pavers, which help to mitigate any kind of increase based on the proposed development. Bioretention 6 also is heavily planted, yet it also contains additional storage beneath the bioretention basin. And then you move over to the campus walkway, which was already described as having porous asphalt, but also Grasscrete. Both of those are porous materials. In addition, there is now proposed storage underneath of that. This is how everything is layered into the actual landscaping. So you may not, you may go out to the site, you're going to see a beautiful landscaping, but all of the stormwater is actually incorporated into that. So if we move to the next slide, again, this was already previously discussed, which is the sunken garden. From a drainage perspective, obviously, and from Princeton's perspective, one of the key items of this is an isolated area that is lower than the surrounding areas. So this is showing the section of it, which shows that there'll be a porous system on the plaza deck. There'll be a series of underdrains underneath that that plaza, that little sitting area, that will be brought out into the drainage system. In addition, there is a separate trench drain system that will also be brought out. This is a redundant system, and this has to do with just the configuration of this location and making sure that there is redundancy to make sure there's no issues if any of the system fails. And if we go on to the next section, So this is when it gets fun. This is my area here. So when we get over to the east side, it's really nice to see how, how the landscape is working, but how we've integrated all the stormwater in it. That comes from the stormwater from what's all the green roofs on the building itself into the actual bioretention. This is a step bioretention system. So each basin steps into the next one. So there is an underdrain, a perforated pipe in each one of those bioretention basins. If you have an extreme storm, there actually are set in to have overflows to actually, whoops, sorry. Each one of them has an overflow so that basin 1 will overflow to basin 2. Basin 2 will overflow to basin 3. So there's a series of steps there. So on the next section,
that was slide 68.
that was, yeah, sorry.
We're at
On the next
69.
section here, if you go back one slide, this is showing bioretention 2 and 3, but it's also showing the connection to the existing drain, the 30-inch RCP that goes down Fitz-Randolph. We go to the next slide.
So quick question, does that like third overflow redundancy biblical flood pipe, does that connect to one of your really huge underground storage systems, or does that connect to the storm sewer and basically go straight to Lake Carnegie?
It enters,
or option 3.
Yeah, it's option 3. It goes into the Fitz-Randolph Road drainage system. Eventually, there is an existing 30-inch drain that then connects into Fitz-Randolph. Then, yes, goes all the way down to the lake.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Right, now we're on 69.
And then this is, instead of the east-west sections, we're looking at the north-south section. You've seen this section previously. This is basically looking at all of the stormwater along Fitz-Randolph. So in here you can see not only bioretention 3, but you can see how the porous pavement is integrated into the bottom where the steps come down. There's a small area there. That's porous pavement. That then goes into another bioretention basin, which then goes into another bioretention basin. And that one goes out to that same 30-inch pipe out that ends up in Fitz-Randolph. So this is, again, a type of system that's all connected to each other. They all have underdrains. They all have overflows. And again, it's a continuous system, and it's all within the landscape. And then also this also shows the porous pavement on the east-west walk, but it's a very layered system, and you may not see the stormwater, but there was a lot of stormwater mitigation going on this particular site.
Excuse me, when you say that one bioretention basin drains into another, that's all underground, isn't it? I mean, you're not seeing anything on the surface like a mini waterfall or anything like that.
No, the way it's designed is that you would only see an overflow in an extreme storm.
Okay.
That it is there as like any other type of drainage facility. You always want to have an emergency overflow. So you should not see it. If you do, something very big is going on.
Okay, thank you.
There we go.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. That was very interesting. That's good stuff. Now we're going to talk, I'm on slide 70, and I'm going to talk a bit about sustainability. This is a diagram that just describes some of the variety of sustainability objectives for the project. You see at the bottom that the project is designed to be LEED Gold, and we have set a university target of at least 20% embodied carbon reduction and energy reductions. The project will be connected to the GeoExchange system, and all the rooftops will be designed to be solar ready. Obviously, the GeoExchange system is part of our campus goal to achieve carbon neutrality by 2046. And as I said earlier, the GeoExchange system is beneath level B, the sub-basement, and it's independent from the building. The laterals that the GeoExchange system feeds and may need maintenance are located at the perimeter of the building and can be accessed. I also, picking up on the comments that Sandy and Stone have provided, I just want to talk about the robust native landscape and the biodiversity corridors. This building, particularly on the east side, is is really trying to enhance the biodiversity along Fitzrandolph and draw up the woodlands from Lake Carnegie into this edge of the neighborhood and into this edge of the site. And I would also say that, again, picking up on Sandy's comments, that this has been one of the, I think, most robust efforts to design a building from a stormwater management plan first. First, we considered the stormwater management, then we designed the building to accommodate that stormwater management, as opposed to designing a building and then trying to fit the stormwater management into the design of the building. So slide 71 gives a bit more detail on the embodied carbon reduction and sustainability goals. You'll see here the diagram on the right of the baseline building, the GWP, the global warming potential by design case. And on the right, the optimizations that we've found primarily in the superstructure of steel and metals, the superstructure concrete, substructure steel and metals, and the substructure concrete. All of those systems are contributing to the embodied carbon goal of, as you see here, we're designed to hit a 23% reduction in the embodied carbon of the building. This also helps address, I think, the question that about mass timber. I want to say that this building is a highly sensitive to vibration, and mass timber is not viable for this particular project because of that vibration requirement. And so we're really looking at every other alternative way to get to the lower embodied carbon of the building through these technologies that I've just identified. All right, let me just check one thing here. Another comment here is on the comment of planning board comment number 12, why the building is being designed to make solar ready as opposed to providing solar panels on the building when it's constructed. If feasible, solar panels should be provided immediately after construction. Our response to that is that we manage our investments and our design and our strategies for solar in a campus-wide system to fit the grid-scaled approach. And so we're currently delivering about 19% of the campus energy is through our solar strategy. All of the buildings in this current generation are being designed to be solar ready. And as we increase our on-campus solar, we will review all of the opportunities of all the rooftops we've designed and prioritize those in which we can get the most solar energy for the best investment. So it's a very careful strategy. And rather than do one building at a time, we're going to get better benefit if we do them as a kind of a strategic plan where we look at the entire inventory of projects and choose those that are most viable for solar. So we're not providing it. We're making it solar ready, but we're not providing solar from day one. All right, now on slide 72, I'm going to transition to the exterior materials and character of the building. Slide 73 talks about the setback to height ratio. And we're looking at the top drawing here, looking at an elevation along from Roberts Stadium and looking to the north. You see Fitzrandolph on the right. I mentioned earlier in the presentation that the setback to the property line on the Fitzrandolph Road is a required 3-to-1 setback. You'll see that red line that shows the 3-to-1 setback. You'll also see the 100-foot maximum height limit in this particular area, and we're well below both of those lines. So this step section makes the building very friendly to the neighborhood, brings down the scale to the neighborhood, and then this robust landscape that Stone and Sandy have talked about provide that public amenity on the Fitzrandolph side of the building. The lower drawing, we're looking at the west elevation, the entrance elevation from Stadium Drive looking to the east. And again, you'll see similarly a required setback from the property boundary at the north side of Ivy Lane, 3-to-1, and that steps the building upward and away from the street. And you'll also see the maximum height limit, and we're well below the maximum height limit. So I mentioned stormwater was one of the first strategies to design the building. That was at the same time designing the building to meet these zoning requirements and to enhance the kind of break down the massing of the building and make it a more smaller scale building. Now I'm on slide 74, and now we're looking at the north elevation along Ivy Lane on the top drawing, and the east elevation along Fitzrandolph at the lower drawing, and these tell the same story. To the right, if we're looking on top drawing, to the right of that, you'll see the stadium, but again, you'll see the buildings well below the height limit and the 3-to-1 setback ratio, which is required. And similarly, along the east Fitzrandolph road elevation, so we're looking toward the stadium here along Fitzrandolph. Again, you see the 3-to-1 setback and the maximum height. So now on 75, we're going to show some renderings of the building. As you can see, the building is a brick building. It's a, I'd say, a highly crafted building with a very traditional material. It has a very discrete use of glazing as a passive energy strategy. And it's really it's a very intimate scale building. It's really 2 stories above grade with a very large mechanical system to service this very sophisticated clean room and all the laboratories in the building. The brick verticals there integrate the mechanical penthouses, which have an aluminum grill system and corrugated grill system on them. That those vertical stripes of brick bands integrate the penthouse with the rest of the building, so it doesn't seem like a kind of big penthouses plopped on top of the building. You'll also see here the main entrance underneath the sign, and to the left of that sign, you see that sunken courtyard that we've talked about. And you'll also see the very purposeful and careful strategy to bring planting and vines into the building. I think we've probably talked in the past that we still maintain a list of all of the vines that Beatrix Rand used on campus, and the tradition of incorporating vines and plantings on the building is very rich at Princeton, and it kind of creates a more humane and intimate character for the campus. So they're carefully designated in particular parts of the building and coordinated with our building management folks and our grounds and operations folks for maintenance. Now we're on page 76. This is a little more detail of the brick materials. You'll see in the middle there the medium iron smart 46 and the medium iron smart 46 artisan. Those are the 2 main bricks of the body of the building. Again, it's a very simple brick. It's a local brick, but it has some interesting texture and character that give it some richness. And on the left, you see an example of the variety of brick strategies that bring the sense of craft and richness of material to the building. Mechanical penthouse, as I mentioned, is basically integrated with the mass of the building through those vertical columns of bricks. You'll see the soldier course. You'll see the Flemish bronze brick with protruding bricks. And then the bottom, you see a diagram of vines. So this is the vocabulary that will be used in, not 100% of the facade, but throughout the building, this vocabulary will be used. And on the right, you see the accent colors, the metal panels for the louvers, and the light bronze colored corrugated panel also at the penthouse, and then a flamed granite coping. On slide 77, now we're over at the generator enclosure. The generator enclosure is very modest. It simply picks up on it's a brick facade, a brick wall that uses the same brick on the existing generator enclosure. So it's just a continuation of that garden wall, which encloses the current generator on the east side of Weaver Track. On 78, we're zoomed in here to the west entrance of the building, giving a bit more sense of the character and detail and craft of the brick and the presence of the vines. And as I said, the discrete use of windows for passive energy design. You do see here the sunken garden and that large stair, which is adjacent to the sunken garden, which brings light down into the lower levels, as you've heard testimony about. To the right, this is the main entrance of the building, and to the right of that, that's the main lecture hall of the building. We're now on 79, and we're looking at a rendering of the south west corner of the building. So we've come up behind us. Here is the north-south campus walk. This is that southwest entrance. You'll see the stormwater basin here and the pathway to the entrance, the bike parking adjacent to the entrance. This little set of steps which spans over that bioretention basin connects to one of the larger bike parking areas. The trash and loading dock is to the right here. And you see a very sculptural massing and the variety of materials and the use of vines and landscape to break down the scale of the building. Slide 80, now we're on Fitzrandolph looking to the north, and you're seeing those terraced gardens, landscapes, and stormwater retention basins, the structured ones that Sandy talked about, along that porous asphalt walkway, the sidewalk that goes to the north. And again, you can see some of the vines that are clinging to particular parts of the facade. And here's where you really get a sense of the building stepping away from the neighborhood and taking advantage of the landscape. Next slide, I think hope we're on 81 here. This is now looking to the west along Ivy Lane. And again, the setback here, the 3-to-1 setback that we have on this side, again, contributes to the sculptural massing of the building, use of vines, very discreet use of windows, the rich sense of craft and materiality, and the landscape. Now we're on 82, and this is a section looking to the east. So we've come right in through the front entrance from the west entrance, and we're into this lobby. This is that sunken garden that has the stair, brings light down into the laboratory area. And to the right of that is the lecture hall. Above this level, as I mentioned, it's really a 2-story building with a large penthouse. The second floor is really suites of faculty offices that are broken down into small neighborhood clusters that give them more intimacy and create a lot of natural light in those clusters, and then take advantage of the green roofs that you heard Stone talk about. On the right here is the lower entrance. As I mentioned, there's about a 16-foot drop in the elevation from north to south. Slide 83, now we're taking a section looking to the north. So Fitzrandolph is on the right. The series of terraced landscape stormwater basins is over here. The laboratory, which goes underneath the green roof of the eastern landscape, is here. And you see the large-scale laboratory below, the teaching laboratory on the main level 1, and the office clusters on level 2, mechanical penthouse on the top. And again, here's the section through the stair and that sunken garden. Now on 84, taking again a section looking to the north. Now we're taking a section through the entry lobby, which has a 2-story space. It connects to the second floor, which is surrounded by a faculty conference room and gives access to those neighborhoods of offices for faculty and graduate students at level 2. And level 1 and the level below are the laboratories. Now we're going to have Joe come in and talk about acoustics, but Joe needs to present his credentials.
Great,
And we'll
thank
be
you.
at slide 86.
Thank you, Ron. Joe Horesco. I am of Bachelor of Science from Mechanical Engineering from the University of Hartford with a concentration in acoustics. I've been practicing since 1999, so 26 years or so. And I'm a principal with Ascentech, and I am board certified with the Institute of Noise Control Engineers.
We accept your qualifications. Thank you.
Thank you. So on the slide 86 here, this is a graphic. It's an output from our acoustic calculations. The software that we use is called CADNA. It's a well-vetted software that uses international algorithms in acoustics, so it follows standards. So the inputs in the model include building height and geometries, the topography of the site, and then the big picture is the sound levels from the mechanical equipment. So we input the locations and the sound levels at those openings for the units. So in this model, we specifically have the air handlers, which are located in those 3rd floor mechanical rooms. There's 6 air handlers. There are 3 exhaust air handlers that are located in a mechanical well, as well as 6 exhaust fans. So they're identified roughly here. The air handlers have openings for air intake, and then also some exhaust openings through the roof. and the exhaust fans, they also, in addition to the fan itself, the sound goes up through stacks and out the top of the exhaust stack. So we input all that information, and this is the result here. So the code, okay, back up, sorry. We're comparing this to the code, which is 65 for the day, the New Jersey State Code, 50 for the night. As you can see, the 50 line would be the line between I guess I'll call it cyan and light blue contour. It's actually the smaller one. Yeah, so the line between those is actually the 50 dB line. These are 5 dB contour sections. So what we're showing here is that we are not even close to that near the property lines. We're actually below the 40 dB line. We have identified these 7 receivers that are closest, and you can see the number, the specific number at those exact points are identified, and we're below 40 with all of them. So that would compare to the 50 dB nighttime code. It also compares to the 65 dB nighttime code, but we focusing on the 50 dB because if this equipment were to operate at night, that would be the prevailing code. Not sure if there are any other highlights here.
Let me just point out one thing, because this helps answer one of the staff comments. Planning comment number 16 asks us to clarify where exhaust from the level A basement labs will be conducted to and disposed of. And so I think Joe just testified that it's in the, these are enclosed wells here and here. And then also the air handling units are in an enclosed penthouse. Is that right?
That's correct. And the exhaust from the labs are actually through the EHAUs, which I believe, well, those are the northernmost ones of that well. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I shouldn't say it's fully enclosed. It's a well, but you cannot see. It's an open to the sky
That's
well,
right.
but it's a shielded well.
Correct. And we have
Okay.
modeled it that way.
Great.
And so this is a second output from our model. It's the same building mechanical equipment sources, and we've added in the sounds from the emergency generator here. Again, the daytime code, which would be more applicable in this one since the generators are tested during the daytime, that would be the line that's between the yellow and the dark green. And again, we can see that 65, we're nowhere near the receiving property lines. In fact, we're generally in the low 50s and as low as the low 40s at the receivers during that generator test, which again occurs during the daytime hours. So everything here is showing that we're well below the code. And there is a question, I think I should comment here. Response to it was comment number 34 about multiple generators or what the generators were. This is an additional generator. So this model only indicates the new generator sounds. And our understanding is that this will be tested separately from whatever is existing, which is why we're indicating it the way we have.
And this is slide 87.
I just want to
Slide
chime
87,
in,
thanks.
since neither of you mentioned it, that it appears that the new building creates a shadow and actually shields the residential neighborhood from the generator sounds. Is that a correct interpretation of this illustration?
Very much so. Yeah, there's not only is the building standing, but the topography, as we mentioned before, there's Ron mentioned about 16 feet from one side of the building to the other. So all of those things are in play. But the building itself is certainly doing that.
We're building an expensive sound wall for the
That's
generator.
right. That's right.
And how often does the generator kick on to test itself? Is that a weekly thing, occurrence?
I'd have to defer that, but I don't know. I could answer. I believe it's a week or no less than a week.
I think it's monthly. The team's going to tell
I think
me
it's
in
monthly. Yeah.
in 2 seconds. Someone's going to tell me. Weekly.
Weekly.
Robinizza says it's weekly.
Yeah. During daytime hours and generally for less than an hour.
She even says it's every Tuesday.
And can she tell us how long it lasts?
I'm sure she can. She'll tell me and I'll tell you. Our secret communication channel here. A few minutes each.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think it would take anywhere near an hour, but then it's a very different generator than you typically hear in neighborhoods. So, okay, thank you.
Great.
My pleasure.
All right. Moving on. We're almost done.
I think we're bringing up Stuart Gordon.
Yes, we're on slide 89.
Stuart, are you there? Let me see.
I forgot to unmute. Sorry about that.
I was like, I saw you
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. All right. So I'll qualify myself. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's degree in engineering from the University of North Carolina. I have over 35 years of experience in the state of New Jersey. I am currently licensed as a professional engineer in the states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And I'm also certified as a professional traffic operations engineer with the Institute of Traffic Transportation Engineers.
Thank you. We accept your qualifications.
And I have testified before the board before, so if that helps.
Sure.
So
Doesn't
the
hurt.
parking, yeah, so the parking, so obviously the East Campus, right, the stadium garage was built, right, to have additional capacities for buildings such like the Quantum Institute, and there were additional 257 parking spaces to accommodate projects like this. It's estimated that the full build out of this project will need 100 parking spaces. That's based on the fact that there'll be 656 folks within the building. Of that, we have 252 people that would probably drive to the campus, but there currently is 102 people that are currently already parking on the campus. So that reduces it down to 150 people that would commute. The parking ratio for that is 1.5 per parking space. That brings you to 100 parking spaces. So as stated before, there is no on-site parking. It's been stated before that the parking space demand is managed campus-wide, and plenty of support there for bike, walking, and the Tiger transit system. It's very comprehensive. The stadium garage has approximately 773 available parking spaces when we did our report back in February of 2025. That does vary, but is monitored on an annual basis. So on the ongoing monitoring part of the parking and intersection capacity, the university, as it's been stated, submits a transportation demand management and parking report to the municipality, and with the status of the campus parking, occupancy, and vacancy rates. As Christopher noted earlier tonight, that report was submitted earlier this week. And they also do a stadium garage regulatory study that monitors the intersection capacities around Stadium Drive Garage. A study was done using 2024 traffic data, and capacity analysis was done at all the surrounding intersections within the site here. And all these intersections resulted in having excess capacity to absorb additional traffic that will be generated by the Quantum Institute. I don't know if there's any questions. We can take them later, but I can go into more detail if needed.
I would also just mention that the next traffic monitoring requirement would be when the garage is at 75 to 80% occupancy. That was in condition with the ES&C's project. So once we get 1,200 cars there on a regular basis, we'll have another monitoring study required, and we'll produce that to show that, to focus on the traffic counts and look at the key intersections.
Okay.
So let me move on to slide 90, which is an introduction to the signage variances that we've talked about. As Christopher has mentioned, there are two variances we're requesting, three variances. One is for the size of the sign, which is requires a minimum size of 24 square feet. We're asking for 76.5 square feet on that western elevation at the entrance to the Quantum Institute. The reason for this is that, first of all, this is facing internal to the campus. It's not facing any public road. And it's scaled to the building, but also we keep our, obviously donor information is very confidential. And we need to plan for sometimes long, complicated donor names. So if you count the number of characters here, there could be 10 or 15 more characters in a donor name of a building. So we want to make sure that we have enough space in this approval process for a sign that's appropriately sized to the building and to the donor name. Second variance requested is for an additional building name sign at the southwestern corner of the building, which is sort of it's actually seen from a different vantage point, although it does face to the west. So this is an additional sign on that facade. And the third variance request is for the two lecterns that we talked about, the one at the southern part of the site. Christopher mentioned the one at the northern part of the site. These are part of the campus wayfinding system, and they're located at basic places of arrival to this neighborhood so that people can find their way around to be oriented. And with that, we are at the end of our presentation. And we'll stop sharing. I can pull up the slides at any time you want to go back to anything, but I'll turn it back to the chair.
Thank you. I'm sure that there will be lots of questions and discussion, or I know I have a few, but I'm going to propose before we start the Q&A to take a 10-minute break. And we can all, run up and down the stairs, get our hearts going again, and formulate our questions. So it's 9:15 right now. See everybody back at 9:25 promptly. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Why don't you kick it off?
Thank you. Yeah, I first want to just say, I think this is a really attractive project. I am very impressed with the stormwater management system. But I do have a kind of a lengthy list of questions. I'm just going to run through them, and hopefully y'all can keep track and answer them after I finish the list, because I don't want to have a lot of back and forth. So the first one is, I heard two different occupancy numbers, one that was in the mid 600s range, which I think is the anticipated full occupancy of the building, but there was another one that was 1100 plus that I heard early in the presentation. I just want somebody to clarify what those two different occupancy numbers refer to. Second question, Mr. McCoy had indicated that the shared shoulder road was not intended to be installed along this section of Ivy Lane for now because of concerned about future construction damaging it. I fully understand that, but wonder if you would be implementing just a striping temporary shared shoulder solution, because you do already have the permanent shared shoulder on the first section of Ivy Lane, which is beautiful. And I think for users of the roadway, it'd be helpful to continue that treatment all the way to Fitz-Randolph, even if the treatment on this section of Ivy is temporary. So that's question two. Staff report, and I think the PEC report suggested there should be some covered bike parking. You may have addressed this in your discussion of bike parking. I might have spaced out for a minute, but I realize that none of the parking that you have shown right now is amenable to be covered bike parking, but I wonder if there's a potential to have some covered bike parking either in the building or in some other location, because I think for, all day commuters who are going to be in this building, for 8 hours at a stretch, it would be helpful to have that covered bike parking. Slide number 35 was a little bit ambiguous as to what the paving was at the loading area. I think there was a rendering that made it look like it was Grasscrete, but I'm pretty sure it's not Grasscrete. So I'd just like you to clarify what the paving is at the loading area. the bollards at the beginning and end of the pedestrian walkway on the west side of the building make perfect sense to me. The bollards that are at the entry and exit for the emergency vehicle access on the north side of the building, I just would like to understand how those will be used in the event of an emergency. Are they breakaway, or is there some other approach to making those bollards not interfere with emergency access? The stormwater system, I think I fully understand how it works for stormwater quality and quantity. I didn't hear any discussion about stormwater or groundwater recharge. And I wonder if somebody could just address, are the soils here as difficult as they are elsewhere on campus, or is this system going to actually recharge groundwater in accordance with the ordinance? We have a recurring question about concrete, and I think, sort of carbon sequestration concrete. It's an evolving technology, and I'd like an update whether it's ready for prime time on this project yet. And the last question is, Mr. McCoy, you referred to the windows several times as sort of enhancing passive energy conservation strategy. I couldn't see in the renderings any kind of shading devices. West-facing windows are notoriously difficult to get passive benefit from. South-facing also, if they're not shaded properly. So if you could really address that a little bit more directly, how these windows are contributing to the passive energy conservation of the building, that'd be great. That's my list of questions.
Okay, that wasn't too long.
I tried to be quick.
Good, thank you.
Can I tackle a few of these, but let me also give some assignments. Can somebody else begin to get the occupancy statistics ready? Because I did quote the 1,100 number, and Christopher, you're on mute.
I was going to say that was for the original concept plan with the 3 buildings. That's why you have that larger number.
Thank you.
The smaller number is the correct one. I forget what it was, 7 something.
640, something like that.
640, something like that. Yeah, 640.
If I can address the shoulders on the complete street strategy, I think it makes sense for us to maybe use sharrows on the portion between Stadium Drive and Fitz-Randolph. That's a kind of another common technique that we use. That's what we use on the College Road and other roads.
Well, no, actually, College Road has the shared shoulders. Or
yeah, you're right. It has a parallel stripe. Yeah, you're right. We could do something like that. Yes.
That's what I would like to see, because it just makes it consistent along the length of the road for the users to understand how to use it.
We could do that. For the covered bike parking, our strategy is that the transit station at the Stadium Garage is very, very close, and that has abundant covered bike parking. So our strategy is to use that for this particular building.
Okay.
Could somebody address on the team the bollards on the walkways? Christiane or Sam?
On the emergency vehicle access.
Yeah, right.
Ron, I'd be happy to address that.
Okay, Sam, you were already sworn in, I believe, correct?
I was.
Okay, and your title is Princeton Project Manager?
Princeton Program Manager.
Program Manager. Okay, thank
you. So, Councilman Cohen, we did review this with the Fire Marshal's office, and this is consistent with how we implement bollards on the campus already. So the intent is that these bollards are, in the event of an emergency, removed by our public safety, who typically meets any incoming emergency services folks and helps guide them further into the campus, so there's no delay in response whatsoever.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, could I ask Stone to address, or maybe, yeah, Stone, could you address slide 35 and the paving materials in the loading
Sure.
dock?
So the paving material at the loading dock is grasscrete, but we are not going to fill with grass. We are going to fill with gravel because grass will be difficult to grow there. So that may be a confusion on the slide. The one with the yellow is the field with gravel, and the one with green is the field with the grass.
Okay.
Just, Ron, if I could add one little piece,
Sure.
I may have caused that confusion. And the reason is because I'm an engineer and like to be conservative. We actually designed the stormwater for it to be impervious. However, it's still the grasscrete. We were just being very conservative so that we had flexibility if anything changed. That's why there might be a kind of a confusion there. So no, maybe in the stormwater, we designed it as impervious so we would have flexibility. In reality, it's what's on the landscape plans as the grasscrete.
Great, thanks.
Okay, let me address the passive design windows, since I did mention that a couple times, Mr. Cohen. You're right that they do not have, what I was referring to is the more a strategy of, rather than broad sheets of glazing, that the windows were discrete, and modestly scaled, but they are not shaded from direct sun from north, east, south, or west.
Okay.
The sequestration of carbon in concrete, I'll explain that, but others can jump in. We need to give ourselves flexibility and to work with the construction manager and work with the market. So that could be it could be an opportunity when we get into buying the concrete portion of the project. But we cannot box ourselves in to have a kind of lack of competition for bidding. So it's I think a possible solution, but I actually don't know the state of that technology right now. But I think the primary thing is that we cannot tie the hands of the CM in terms of the market availability of materials.
Okay. So as long as it's something that is explored at the bidding stage, that's satisfactory.
Let me just ask someone from the team if I want to make sure that that I answer that appropriately. Is it on the list of things that would be explored at the bidding stage? Sam?
Yep, I'll jump in, Ron, on that. Yes, it is something we'll explore during the bidding stage. And what you stated earlier about the commercial viability of it now, while we see more plants developing and modifying their capabilities day in and day out, just not enough of them have started to do that yet. But we will continue to press this and look for opportunities.
Great.
I think
I was just gonna say you covered everything except the groundwater recharge.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
So just to kind of to give you an indication, so the soils are poor, they're a D soil, it's not a very highly infiltrating soil. And so per the New Jersey DEP regulations, we do not count or take credit for any infiltration. Having worked on the campus many times before and in the different stormwater systems we put in, we do understand that you do get some recharge. So one of the things that we do, which is part of what Princeton does for their goals, is that we have a dead space or dead volume at the bottom of our systems that allows for infiltration. However, we don't take credit for it. So it's something that that happens on most of the projects on the main campus where there is a good soil, because we know from other projects that there will be infiltration at certain times of the year. So no, it's not taking credit for, but we allowed for the opportunity for infiltration into the ground.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David. Jack Taylor, and then O&O.
May I pose a question on a subject which thus far we haven't dealt with, but one which I think is interesting and important, namely fire protection. In the document, it's been made clear that the water system or the hydrant system or the mains as the proper words might be, for the project are satisfactory. They meet all the standards. But there are a couple of sentences that raise questions in my mind, namely that Princeton University itself is facing, and the language is deficient water systems or mains. In other words, dealing with the flow, that this is a problem for the university. It's been recognized, it's being dealt with. My question, and my basic area of concern, is that isn't there, or is there, a relationship between deficient water systems for the entire campus and the water systems for a given project when the issue is water flow? The target is 2,000, and apparently deficient means 1,500, and in some cases less.
Sam, can you,
Yeah,
do you have information to address that fully? I mean,
I do, Ron. I can address that. I'm not sure fully or not, but I can address the question. So as part of the engineering work that the team is doing, we take readings at each of the hydrants around the building. We use those readings both for PSI and flow to confirm whether or not, very simply, we have the flow in the building at the highest level in accordance with what's required by the building codes. The design team has looked at that closely, and based upon the hydrants in the area, we know that we either need to add a fire pump to the building in order to supplement that or not. And right now the team is including a fire pump in that design of the building so that we know for certain that we have the flow requirements in all corners of the building. Now, the commentary that you see is likely about other areas of the grid that we know over time need some maintenance. But we can tell you, based upon the engineering work that the design team did, that we have adequate flow and PSI to support what's required by the building code for the quantum building that's proposed.
Sam, are we tying into a new line in Ivy that we're connecting to?
So the point of connection, maybe I could ask Christiane exactly where it is.
Is there an interrelationship between meeting the standards necessary in the building and the deficiency of Princeton University system otherwise? And apparently that's not a question that's been addressed.
I think what Sam is saying is that this building is designed to meet its requirements.
That's correct.
Good.
And just as a piece of that, Sam, is that we are connecting to the new 12-inch line in Ivy in Weston Way. So that was done as part of the ES&C. So that's a brand new line. When you look at the grid system, that's connected to other water lines in the overall area. So that's why we're connecting there. To give you details on the other lines, I don't have that in front of me, but I do know it was very intentional on where we connect it.
Good. Thank you.
And I'll add, Mr. Taylor, that we've reviewed this very closely with the fire marshal's office, walked them through the point of connection and how they would attack a fire in this building.
And the report from the fire official at this time says fire department has no comments or concerns.
Good. Superb. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for the question, Jack. Owen?
Thank you. The one thing that I know about quantum mechanics and what's going on here is something that Mr. McCoy already touched on, which is that this the instrumentation is very sensitive to movement, and I imagine that's one of the reasons why the laboratories are built on the lowest level. How far down are you going to have to go, and are you going to have to blast at all in order to remove bedrock or other material?
Sam, can you answer that?
Sure. So we do have to blast some material, and the way we procured the construction of the project is to minimize that. They have attained via maybe traditional excavation activities, just typical excavators, more than we anticipated, which means that we lessen the amount of blasting that we have to do. but there is still some rock that does require blasting. And each week we're seeing a little bit less of that as a result of those traditional excavation activities.
Okay, great. And, you know, based on your experience in previous construction in that area, do you anticipate less blasting than has had to happen in the past, or is it too early to tell that yet?
No, we can tell that now, and we are seeing that less blasting as a volume is required here than previous projects. ES&Cs as an example.
Okay, terrific. One other question that I had for Mr. McCoy, I guess. The sign above the western entrance, is that going to be illuminated?
No, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Owen. Other questions from board members? I just want to echo what David Cohen said about the design and the stormwater management on this site. I too think that it's really, really interesting and really impressive. And I do want to ask you to reconsider the English ivy as well as the Katsua and the non-native magnolia. I'll have to look at down to not the star magnolia, the other one.
Maybe.
Yeah, there are native magnolias that I think would substitute really nicely a Magnolia grandiflora instead of a Solangiana. Anyway, but the English ivy, I understand what you're saying about it being very contained, but it's also I would just hate for people to see that English ivy is in a new installation at Princeton, and that means it must be okay. And it's just really a scourge. And I would hope that there's another vine. I know that you're already using Virginia creeper, but I also know that at least in places that I'm familiar with, it does, very well in the shade, just as it does in the sun and just about everywhere else. So maybe that's an appropriate substitution. I saw in Mr. Dobromilski's memo that he suggested some additional evergreen trees in lieu of the non-natives, and I think that sounds like a good idea. American holly or red cedar, and wonder if you will consider substituting those things. And I say that acknowledging that you're planting a lot more than is required in the ordinance, and we're grateful for that. And there's many, many wonderful, really interesting plants here, and I don't want for my comments about non-natives to diminish the high regard I have overall for the landscape plan.
If I can jump in on some of those comments, but I think he's the expert. I think we can definitely look at an alternative to the English ivy. I would, just for your information, we've had lots of conversations with our grounds team. They want to make sure that they can access and trim all the ivy. So they also don't want anything to get out of hand. So we're trying to coordinate the ivy strategy with a operation regime. But I think your comment is something we can look at, and we can certainly find an alternative to the English ivy. On the non-native trees, I again will defer to field operations for trees that have this similar aesthetic impact. But I do think that we've had conversations in the past about, particularly when we're going well above and beyond the number of required trees, that we have an opportunity on occasion to also sort of support the arboretum-like quality of the campus. And so we thought 2 trees in that regard were sort of in that spirit.
So we essentially did reduce the number, and on our plans now there's 2. That's all that's left.
Right. We actually.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought there were still 3. And plus there's those Norway maples, which I understand you don't want to cut down. And I agree with the shade value and all of that stuff there, but sorry, Mr. Bishop, were you?
So we actually removed all non-native magnolias, and we have only 2 katsura trees, which are not native trees. And I understand the comment from the board landscape architect to replace katsura trees with evergreen trees. But for example, one of the katsura tree is proposed in the courtyard, kind of in the middle of the courtyard. And, we are imagining people can sit around the tree, and maybe, it's much nicer to have a deciduous tree. And I know there are other, native deciduous trees, but one of the good things about the katsura tree is the shape of the leaf is, it's very round, but at the same time, creates a very dense the canopy. So it's nothing, it's a very unique tree in terms of the leaf texture and the canopy density. And so that's why we selected to make a kind of symbol, the center of the small courtyard.
Okay.
Excuse me, I didn't quite catch that. Did you say that you would replace the non-native magnolia with another?
Other native species.
Okay.
So basically the number of the non-native trees went down to 2 now. Just one by at the courtyard at the southeast corner of the building, and the other one is by the south entrance to signify the stair over the basin.
And those 2 that's 2 individual katsura trees or 2 species that we're talking about?
2 individual katsura trees. So basically just a katsura tree is the non-native species that we're using as a tree.
So
okay.
Yeah, just to sum up.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 150 proposed. We have 45 required. So basically we're providing an additional 105 trees, and only 2 of those are non-native.
Understood. Well, thank you for your explanation and defense. I appreciate that. And that's acceptable to me. And I also appreciate your already having substituted some native trees for other non-natives on the plan. Thank you.
As well as the English ivy.
Yeah, we'll find.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
We're looking for another solution for that.
Yeah. Let's see. I had a Green Creek question, but I think that was answered in the course of your testimony. Early on, Mr. McCoy testified about comment 15 in the memo from the planning office, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't positive that if I could get Nathan and Justin to look back at comment 15, and if you had any issues with whether the response was what you needed to learn, or
yeah, so I guess I can address that since I wrote up the memo.
Okay, and you'll need to speak up, Mr. Foote, because it's hard to hear
Sorry,
you.
muffled again, okay. Let me just make sure I'm on the right audio. Yeah, same audio, okay. Yeah, so the testimony was that it's going to meet federal and state regulations. That was part of the testimony. Yeah, that's suitable. I think that's adequate for really what we were. We didn't necessarily need specifics about the specific chemical reactions that are taking place. As long as it's following state standards, federal standards for disposal, especially, that's really what I needed to hear, and I think what Justin needed to hear as well.
Okay, just for other board members, the reason I brought this up is that it deals with hazardous chemical waste. So I just wanted to make sure that the staff was satisfied with that explanation and answer.
And I think Mr. McCoy also said it would be consistent with the way chemical waste is treated across the campus.
Right. This is not new to us.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. And so let's see. I would turn to just before we go to public comment, any comments from Jim Purcell, Victor Anasike, Derek, any other questions that you might have raised in your memos that have not yet been addressed?
If I may, Chair Wilson. Yeah, I think they covered almost everything that's in my memo, except for the general issues of when they resubmit for our record, making sure that the title blocks meet the requirements of the state and list the certificates of authorization for each of the different organizations working on this. I do have one concern, and that is about the ADA accessibility. The applicant has testified that all of these pathways are ADA accessible except for those that have stairs. I didn't see sufficient detail to verify that in the plans. And I have had experience at Princeton University where during construction, we've had to make modifications in order to make sure that some of the walkways are ADA compliant, most recently on ES&Cs. And some field changes have had to be made. So I would like to see some more detail in terms of grading plans in order to ensure that not only the walkways, but the curb ramps at the intersections with the streets meet ADA compliance. And I think that was really the only concern. I think they've covered everything in terms of traffic. I'm very familiar with the way campus transportation and walkability and bikeability work, if you know what I mean. And they've done a very good job in making sure that all of the questions that I had, and I think that Victor might have had, but I won't speak for Victor, concerning traffic and parking have been addressed. So that's the only real thing was more detailed grading that I could look at.
We can definitely provide all the details you've commented on, requested in our compliance set. So we accept that as a condition of approval.
Thank you.
Christopher, you want to address the title block?
Oh, same answer. We will update
comply.
Thank you, Christopher.
Perfect. Love that. Nathan, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Mr. Besho had testified that there was a previous scheme and a current scheme for the, I think it's the streetscape as well as the sunken gardens. So I just want him to clarify, when he talks about previous and current schemes, is the current scheme on the September 5th plan, or is that different? Or the current scheme updated from the September 5th plan? Just so the board knows what they are.
Right, the current scheme. So the current scheme means the the latest plan that we are carrying right now. And
So-
then
It is
Yeah.
an update from the plan that you received, the most recent plan that you received. It is an update from that plan,
From the September 5th plan.
the September 5th.
Okay,
And it's the sunken garden. I don't know, what do you call it? The first level has been lowered.
right, right. But that's a change from the September 5th.
Correct, correct.
Yes.
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
and that will be reflected in the compliance plan
Correct.
should the board approve it.
Correct.
Okay. Same with the streetscape, or is that also?
That's all, same
Same
situation.
situation, okay. All right, thank you. And then just so it's not lost, I just want to make sure that it's noted as a condition, the discussion with the sheriff on Ivy Lane. Those have been agreed to provide those on a, until it becomes necessary to remove Ivy or Western Way as it's called now.
Yeah, the striping that
striping,
Councilman
right.
Cohen requested, yes, we would agree to that and include it in the compliance set.
Okay.
And that would be.
That was described as parallel striping. Is that the way it was?
Yes.
And
Sometimes
that's the
called,
terminology in complete streets.
well, so I just want to, when Ron initially referred to it, he called it shared shoulders. My preferred terminology is actually an edge road configuration, which, sometimes we call them accessory or advisory bike lanes,
Yeah.
but sometimes they're for pedestrians as well as cyclists. So it gets a little cumbersome to say advisory bike and pedestrian lanes, and the terminology of edge lane roads is what I've been finding in the literature, sort of nationally, as the preferred terminology. So
I thought there was.
And we agree that it's what we're doing on College Road.
correct.
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay, so both of those things should be reflected
Yeah.
in the resolution. Mr. Anasike?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to get a little bit more clarification on the traffic intersection capacity studies that they submitted to the township. Just from the response to my comments on that, it seems to me that there is the narrative on parking. I don't have any problem with the parking. I believe the parking, there's enough parking. The East Campus study did actually provide additional parking for the now stadium garage. However, the additional parking spaces were not, the traffic was not analyzed for those additional parking spaces. By that I mean, they weren't distributed to the intersections. We just said there's going to be enough parking. So another example is, if you look at one of the slides there, it says there's 100 people already parking in the campus, but they're going to relocate them to this stadium garage. And I didn't see a distribution of how they're going to come to this garage. If we're adding new traffic to the intersections on Faculty Road, the yearly monitoring, the monitoring that they submitted just talked about, or rather analyzed, the existing condition for 2024. I don't think that it included the anticipated traffic for this site that is going to be coming up. So I wonder if Stewart or anybody
Maybe I can start with that. The traffic impact study for what's called now the Stadium Garage was done with the modeling based on full 100% occupancy of that garage. So all the traffic impacts were included as if that garage is fully loaded. Therefore, so we've already done that. That's in the initial traffic study for that project, which was previously approved. And so if we're having less parking, if the garage is currently going to be less loaded, then that analysis is still viable.
So we did review that, the East Campus garage. So what was shown in that study was the lot 21 was removed and moved to the parking garage. So those traffic were all rerouted back to this new garage, stadium garage. But there's an additional 350 spaces you're providing for future developments that might come in. We didn't analyze those traffic.
No, those 351 spaces were included in the total capacity of the garage.
Yes, but not at the intersections. That's what I'm saying.
and intersections also. All the traffic related to those parking cars were included in the traffic study.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at it again, but
yeah, and there was also a study that we referenced. We had a study done, submitted in July of 2025. Where we used 2024 data to do analysis to see if the projections in the analysis still are in line with the projection with the Stadium Drive garage study, the TIS for that. And the numbers are lower, much lower, that resulted in reserve capacity to add more traffic to those intersections. We were seeing level services A and B, and worst case was a C. So there's plenty of capacity at the intersections to absorb 50 peak hour trips potentially that are being generated by the QI Institute, right? So if you go back and look at that report, and that was submitted, I'm not sure if you had that as part of your record for review, but that was also submitted to the municipality.
That was submitted in July of 2025. So you have the March 3rd, 2020 original traffic impact study that evaluated the full capacity of the garage. Then you had a future monitoring requirement 1 year after the garage was built that looked at all the intersections, and that was the Stadium Drive Garage regulatory study that was submitted in July of 2025, and it was based on 2024 counts. And all across the line, pretty much, they were consistently lower than the earlier projections. And then the next stage of monitoring will occur when the garage is at 75 to 85% occupancy, and we'll do the traffic counts again. We'll observe the intersections, and we'll report back to the municipality at that time.
Okay.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from board members before we go to public comment? Oh, Mr. Scoopian, I'm sorry. Thank you for turning on your
that's quite all right.
On your camera.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. Just for the record, my report had 5 comments. I've written in the letter that was issued earlier this week. The applicants agreed to address all of them. They're all technical in nature. There's nothing controversial. It's just needing more data. Ms. Brock has sent me some information just yesterday on one of them. I haven't had a chance to review it, but I think we can work through that. 2 points though. I just want to bring up that are not in my report, but if we could address them this evening quickly. It's funny, on the stormwater system, I've heard the words interesting, integrated, fascinating, which to me all equals complicated. This is quite a complicated stormwater management system, and including the fact that we have 43 subsurface porous paved detention basins, in addition to the 4 or 5 green roofs, and I think there's 6 bioretention basins. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that when we have that level of complexity, and we have that number of subsurface basins. I'd like to ask that, and I haven't seen anything on the plans, but what we'd like to do is, because all of these subsurface detention facilities, I'd like to have some inspection ports included in each one of them. Now, I see clean out details for these facilities. I see clean out details for the green roofs and the bioretention. So it's doable. And in fact, the overflows in the bioretention basins may work as inspection ports or observation wells if the caps are easily removed. But I think between Niche and I, we can work out a detail. That way because particularly on the porous paving ones, we really don't know how they're working. If we have a surface basin, you can look at it and see that, gee, it hasn't rained in 2 weeks and it's still full of water. On the subsurface ones, particularly this large number of them, and a lot of them are interconnected, and each one's going to rely on its neighbor to function properly. If we can have some inspection ports put in, that would be, I think, would be a help in the long term. The second one is, and it's kind of a detail, there is groundwater recharge requirement in the ordinance. It's being met here simply because, as Ms. Brock said, this is typical Princeton University soils. Both the NRCS soil mapping and Princeton's own soil surveys, soil testing has shown these are not really permeable soils out there. So there's not a lot of recharge happening now. As such, the project won't create a deficit. So that's how they're meeting their requirement. Whatever infiltration they do get is a bonus, but they're not required because technically there isn't really any happening now. However, this is kind of a technicality. As far as stormwater quality goes, there's no mention in the reports as to the amount of regulated motor vehicle surface to see if it exceeds 5,000 square feet, and technically stormwater quality is required. Now, it is a moot point because all of the motor vehicle surface is going to be porous paved, which will be treated. Whether it's necessary to include that in the report, just to tie that end down, that yes, we do need to provide it and we are, or no, we don't need to provide it, but we are. I think that if we can add that to the report, that would be a help as well. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, one thing that I really like about it, and I certainly take your point about the complexity, or on one hand, it's great to have all this distributed, small scale, a lot of it, management practices, but also there are so many more roots going into the ground with this new, after this site is developed than are there now. Overall, it'll function way more like a sponge than it does now.
Well,
and so even what doesn't get infiltrated or, overflow is going to be taken up, I would expect, and I know just enough to be dangerous. It's going to be taken up and transevaporated, et cetera, in a really beneficial way.
Well, that touches on one of the comments in my report that I'd like to see a cross section of all these different types of porous paved walkways, because to make sure that, do we have a crown? Is there a cross slope? In other words, is the rain that falls on them going to stay on the paving and infiltrate, or, because of this grading or anything, it's going to run off before it has a chance? And so that's the folks at Niche have agreed to provide that, and it is a detail. One interesting thing, though, about the, right now, that softball field is synthetic turf, and it is underlain by a underground stormwater detention basin. So they are actually, in building this site, eliminating what was, or an existing stormwater facility. And so I was interested to see how they would handle that. And they did a very good job. They did include in their existing conditions the effects that existing basin does have on reducing existing flow, and base their allowable outflows on that reduced flow. But yes, there is infiltration and underground storage of water happening right now. Not to the extent it will in the future. But it was interesting to see that we're eliminating existing underground detention. Let's make sure that we include that, and they did a very good job.
If I can make one observation here, and Mr. Scupian's remarks, we did not set about to make a complicated system. It wasn't our goal. We didn't say to Sandy, make a really complicated stormwater solution. But I have a feeling we're going to see more and more of these going forward, because we have to preserve, we have to design for the kind of, the new stormwater regulations and for the resiliency of the site. And in our planning for the future buildings, we knew that we could not reach out and use conventional strategies to solve stormwater here, because that would have then reduced the capacity of stormwater for future buildings, which would reduce the amount of square footage we could build in future buildings. So all that to say is that we think the inspection ports is a good idea, because if we're going to build things that are, this is not a one-off. This is going to be the way of the future, and anything that can give us information about how to design better in the future is a good idea.
And it's great for the town to have all that information on file. I expect it to be very helpful. And someone referenced this earlier. It was probably you, Mr. McCoy, that the stormwater management was, part of the planning process from the beginning. And that is just, that's the kind of sea change in stormwater management that a lot of people have been working toward for a long time. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and just to Ron's credit is the fact that as an engineer and someone who's been very heavily involved in stormwater for a very long time, it's great to have a client who pushes you. And I really appreciate that. And as a company, we're very happy to, take on the challenge. And part of that challenge is to make sure that system is not just looks great in the plans, but actually functions for years and decades to go.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Okay, if there are no other questions from board members or comments from staff, I will open up the meeting for public comment. We have 20 people in the attendees area. If any of you would like to address the board at this time, and address the applicant, please raise your hand virtually by clicking on the raise hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I'm not seeing any hands go up yet. So I'll say it again. If you want to address the board, you have 3 minutes. Seeing no hands go up at all. Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion of the meeting and invite maybe Justin or Nathan, any final thoughts from you or from any of our board members before we talk about resolution? Mr. Cohen?
Yeah, I just wanted to create a record on the variance requests for the signage and indicate that I think that all of the variances are easily justifiable for the reasons that the applicant indicated during their presentation. So I'm in favor of granting those variances.
Thank you very much. Other comments from board members? I certainly agree, David, with your thoughts about the sign variances. Mr. Foote?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So yeah, with the sign variances, I think from a planning perspective, those can be justified. And I did have the trying to make sure that we get everything that we need on the record. Good. I think that's, I think that's all that I needed to include.
Okay,
I don't have any comments, Madam Chair. I agree with Councilman Cohen.
all right. Um, Mr. Muller, would you like to lead us into a conversation about the findings of fact?
Yep. Obviously, this is an application for preliminary and final site plan approval, which is the plan has been discussed at length by both Nathan and the applicant. There are the three variances we talked about. I don't know if we need to talk about them anymore. And then there's a series of at least potential conditions that I'd like to go over with your sufferance now, Madam Chair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it in order of, first I'm going to take them from my notes, and then there's a couple that'll come from the reports, although not a great deal. There's actually not that many conditions. One is the artwork. You had suggested, Madam Chair, that it go to the landscape committee. If the landscape committee was getting other matters, I don't know that they are. If not, the staff will review. But I'm not exactly sure what the review is going to entail, to tell you the truth.
Well, first of all, I, having heard all the testimony and given the discussion we've had, I do not think that the landscape subcommittee needs to review the landscape plan again. If other members of the landscape committee who are here disagree, please say so. Okay. And so with that, I see your hand up, Mr. Lesko. I'll let you talk before I finish my sentence.
Sure. Yeah, generally speaking, we often process the artwork, whether it's new or when it changes, as an administrative waiver of a site plan. So that might be the most expeditious way, assuming the university is still deciding on what they would like to put there. And also, we wouldn't want that to hold up anything with the rest of the site. So I think
nor would I want to leave the impression with anyone that this board is interested in deciding what art should go where on Princeton's campus. I mean,
and what it should look
that's
like.
that's not any place I want to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good, Justin. Thank you.
Okay, so that's one. Then the next one is the Ivy Lane between Fitzrandolph and Stadium Drive. It should be striped as it's done for College Road. The next one, they'll use an alternative to the English ivy, and then they will replace the non-native magnolia with another tree.
Is that one correct? Just some.
Yeah, so non-native magnolia is already gone. We don't have any non-native magnolia.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
is it, okay, fine.
I think just English ivy
Okay, oh, that's fine.
is the one to be replaced with something else.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Jerry, can we go back to the striping one?
Yeah, sure.
Just to be clear, we're talking the College Road part past Alexander Street by the Graduate College, correct? Not the part towards McCarter.
Right.
Correct.
Also known in Complete Streets vernacular, and correct me if I'm wrong, David and Nathan, also known as Edge Lane Road configuration.
Correct.
Is that 3 words, Edge Lane Road? Or is Edge Lane 1 word?
It's 3 words at most.
Edge Lane either be 1 word or should be hyphenated.
I think it's 3. I think it's 3 words. Yeah.
All right.
Then more detail on the grading plan showing ADA compliance. The changes in the sunken garden that is shown on the slides that were different than what had previously been submitted. Put those on them. That'll be part of the compliance package. Joe Scoopion's 5 comments, I could go over those if you want. Then add inspection ports for the bioretention basin. Add to the report that water quality is being met. Then the signature block, and now I'm reading from Jim and Derek's memo. The signature block on the cover sheet of the site plan is signed by the owner but not dated. Ensure that the compliance submission includes the date and signature. Is that?
Yeah, we're gonna meet all his requirements with regard to signature blocks, signatures, and licensing.
Yep, okay, good. And then so that'd be his first and third comments. And then that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. With that, would a board member like to move approval?
I would.
Preliminary and final major site plan with variances.
I would move that.
Thank you, Councilman Cohen. Is there a second?
A second.
Thanks, Mr. O'Donnell.
And the condition.
Yes, with variances, yes, and given the conditions that have been enumerated here, yeah. Justin, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Ms. Capizoli,
Yes.
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
He raised his hand, but you're on mute, Jack. Can you unmute and
Yes, I am.
thank you.
Ms. Wilson Anderson,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Really
Thanks
appreciate
as
it.
always for a thorough and efficient presentation. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you very
also all of
much.
all the questions and good Q&A. So we're back next week with a special meeting to look at Community Park School, which we didn't get to last time. Anything else for the good of the order?
We'll see you at
Mr.
the Art
Cohen?
Museum on October 31st.
Ah, yes.
Big day.
Thank you. I am really looking forward to seeing that. I really am. It's and I'm hearing about it no matter what NPR station I tune into. Blanketing the NPR, you know your audience. Let's just put it. Thanks for that, Mr. Cohen.
I move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Right.